All right, that looks good, and we are fully within the realm of fashionably late. So, welcome to D&D in Hindsight, where we D&D in Hindsight. And this week we have the Tome Magic. I'm Vincent,
I'm Shiv.
I'm Hunter Grain.
and I'm Vincent. So, the Tome Magic here is really three mini books by the standards of D&D mini books, anyways. In one, each focused on a new form of magic, as the title implies, akin to Magic of Incarnum, though very different at the same time. So let's start with Pact Magic. Pact Magic consists of drawing symbols on the ground to summon things known as vestiges that you bargain with to gain powers. Vestiges are beings of all sorts that have slipped between the cracks of reality for various reasons. Souls that are claimed by no afterlife, deities that have lost their worshippers, powerful sorcerers whose elaborate machinations to become god got foiled by some meddling kids and their dog too. Stuff like that. Whatever the cause, a vestige is effectively untouchable and exists viewing all places and instances at once, which drives them irrevocably insane and very willing to make pacts with anyone just so they can focus on a single place and time for once as they ride along and share power and knowledge. And the primary class that does all this stuff is the Binder. Once a day they choose a vestige to summon, later levels they choose more than one, and bind them to themselves, which gives them supernatural abilities of a variety of sorts. Vestiges are gated by which levels they are, and as a binder grows in level, they can summon higher level vestiges, bind two and eventually three vestiges, as well as eke extra little things from their packs in the form of augmentations. Here's this nice little list of abilities. They're basically just small things, but they stack with themselves, so you can basically choose like +1 insight bonus to armor class twice, and it's a +2 insight bonus. As well as some like basic defensive things: immunity to fear, slippery mind, immunity to stat drain, negative energy, and eventually immunity to mind affecting things. Also bonus feats from some basic categories in the feats in this chapter, basically stuff that relates to binding. As a class, binder is fine, but in an odd way. Its biggest problem is one of, ironically, inflexibility with soul binds, since you only perform it once per day with no inherent way in the class of changing it out, and it takes until 8th level for you to bind two vestiges at the same time, meaning in a game where combat is a decent focus, pure utility vestiges just kind of are hard to use at lower levels. Especially since the base class is a medium bonus, so it's not exactly stellar in combat otherwise. And the handful of little bonuses over here are not going to make up for the lack of other combat abilities, really. So you are kind of leaning on the vestige to do a few things. If you know what to expect, vestiges are a very large bag of tricks to pull from, and there are several more versatile choices as well, but the class is less than forgiving for if you're running a subpar options. Let's see. From flavor perspective, deities tend to frown upon making bargains with things that they can't touch, and as such, religions may consider the use of pact magic as heretical. Which religion and what side of the alignment chart they may be on is not fleshed out in this book. The usual strategic ambiguity to let DMs interpret as they wish, basically, assuming they don't outright disregard the fluff and make their own. Also, some variant rules for fallen clerics and paladins. Yeah, right over here. Depending on, again, whether or not that you'll actually fall from binding things. And now let's start with talking about vestige with our example here, where every vestige entry comes with a legend fluff entry describing who they are and how they became a vestige, special requirements for special requirements for calling them, if there is any. Not all of them have special requirements. What they look like when called. The form they take is an uninteractable illusion, but it's basically for show. Their sign, how to modify it. So basically, if you bind polarity, your feet are going to turn to satire hooves, etc. And their influence on you. So basically, if you make a binding check whenever you summon them, you always bind them, but you either made a poor bargain or a good bargain. If you make it a good bargain, you can ignore the influence and you can suppress the sign. Sometimes the sign has to show for you to use any of the granted abilities, which, yeah, for your trouble, you get these granted abilities. All of them. they're all supernatural abilities, regardless of how mundane they may be. You get skill ranks of the supernatural abilities, just roll with it. One common thing with vestiges are powers with 5-round cooldowns, like Bewaire's Healing Gift over here. X time per day abilities are almost non-existent vestiges, but they're occasionally there. But the 5-round cooldowns are kind of a different kind of harsh, as most combats rarely last more than 5 rounds, or much more than 5 rounds, leaving you with about 2 uses of the ability at most in a combat. And the power of said abilities don't reflect that limitation as much as you would think. All saves for Binder are 10 plus half Binder level plus Charisma, so standard fair scaling and Charisma base. You don't have to actually worry about like replacing old vestiges with new ones per se, and a lot of the abilities scale up as you level as well. As for Boyer himself here, the real feature is Healing Gift. It's a source of unlimited out-of-combat healing, which is great utility in 3.5 particularly, where natural healing is slow as shit. But the lack of offensive anything makes you want to ignore this one until level 8, unless you like being questionable in combat, unless everything is, poison and disease, which case you're great. As far as inspiration for us is concerned, here's the Wikipedia page for where I shoved over here. Yeah, so many of the vestiges are named after one of the 72 demons of Solomon, lifted from the Ars Goetia, you get the point, as is a semi-frequent thing in fantasy and anime, with the seals coming directly from the source mostly. There are also exceptions, and we'll actually be starting with one. Acerak, one of D&D's oldest villains and the architect of the Tomb of Horrors, along with many other treasure-filled death traps that were designed to get him the souls of powerful adventurers so he could something negative energy plane, something ascend to godhood, something Eye of Vecna. As a villain that appears in and/or is involved in multiple modules, I will mostly keep things vague for everything that isn't Tomb of Horrors, where Acerak first appears out of respect for anyone who might want to run something. No one should actually run Tomb of Horrors unless they have a masochistic streak, really. As an aside, Acerak found a way back from being a vestige in 5th edition and is now just running around building spooky theme parks or something. I have no idea. Ability-wise, Acerak is not bad if you're fighting undead or have a party member who likes to recklessly throw around negative energy damage, and the Paralyzing Touch is a solid control option, except for the cooldown part. But it's still useful. But it's still useful as is, especially against casters who have a bad fort save, so it will tend to... Yeah, because I believe this one lasts for... Yep, half your binder level in rounds, so it's actually a decent amount of rounds. You'll be 10 before you can bind him, so it's going to be at least 5 rounds. That basically takes them out of the fight. They get a save at the end of each of their turns, I believe. No, they can attempt a new save as a full round action while paralyzed. A condition that prevents you from taking actions.
Yep.
I'll just assume it works. But yeah, with that said, Acerak doesn't work on his own to keep you from being bored in combat, but does at least contribute a little and offer some utility. It's at a level where you can bind 2 vestiges anyway, so he's a nice add-on, basically.
Yeah, just get a paralyzing touch and some trinkety abilities.
Yeah, basically. Immunity to cold and electricity damage is nice, especially if you know you're actually going to be encountering those.
Yeah. Stuff dealing with undead, hiding from undead, detecting undead.
Yeah.
Speaking with dead. Shockingly, the Lich guy has
Yeah.
a bunch of things dealing with undead.
Yeah, amazing is how that works. Alright, next, Adramalius. The Repentant Rogue is actually one of my favorites, and we're just going to read this legend verbatim. So, once the herald of Oladamara, Adramalius forswore theft and mischief on his deathbed, repenting all the actions he had taken on behalf of his god during his life. By this means, he hoped to steal his soul from his deity, thus accomplishing his greatest theft and prank in history, and proving himself the most worthy of his god's favor. At first angered by Adramalius' betrayal, Oladamara quickly realized the irony of the moment and burst into laughter. Yet the god's humor was short-lived, because he realized that to accept Adramalius' soul would be to prevent the theft and ruin the joke. Since Oladamara was loath to let such a clever servant go to the realm of some other god, he repaid his servant's honor 100-fold. He stole Adramalius' soul from the cosmos, making it a vestige. Whether Adramalius deemed this result an honor or not remains unclear.
Yeah. Yeah. That shit's hilarious. You go over there now.
So Adramalius is actually one of the better solo vestiges to bind at a low level, coming with both a cooldown disabling spell in Hideous Laughter and a modest amount of sneak attack dice, actually, as well as see invisibility at will and some other out-of-combat utility. By low level, I mean like 5. But still. Oh, yes, as an aside, even though Asarak is clearly not one of the 72 demons from the Ars Goetia, this is actually the symbol of a completely different demon, or one of the demons. So pretty much every one of these seals is from the Ars Goetia. Or at least something that made seals for the 72 demons of the Ars Goetia. I'm not really going to go to... This is much resources you get from me doing stuff on the internet. Did I somehow skip? Yeah, I somehow skipped the next one. Let me grab this guy, because I somehow missed, or I somehow probably saved over the slide. Vestiges. C. We'll go a bit further. That's good enough. All right. So, as best as I can find on the internet, Chupocalypse comes from this book. This sigil here is for Kamar, so it's not. It isn't even one the name of the 72 demons. But I may be wrong, as it sounds like a villain from a campaign module or something else entirely, and that may well be the case. But I couldn't really find any results other than like things pointing to this book. In any event, he was a giant apocalypse beast spider that prowled the ethereal plane until it was killed. It devoured hope and was believed to be the harbinger of the end of existence until it got ganked, which left it in an awkward place, so it slunk off to being a vestige.
Chupaclops is a name for a lollipop thing I've seen. Chupapops. I'm making fun of Chupapops.
Fair enough. So anyways, this is a strong vestige letting you pounce at level 12 with Bite Attack thrown in as well. Has some bits of useful but situational things and an aura of reasonable debuff, thus letting you eat that lollipop immediately. I also realized I put Dalvilnar on here, and Dalvilnar is actually kind of important as well. So Dalvilnar, on the other hand here, dates back to the 2nd edition at least. Actually, dates back further. He dates back to 1st edition and is linked to an artifact, artifact magical teeth. This is not a joke. In 1st edition, they were said to be his teeth. In 2nd edition, they were said to be the teeth of a red dragon, and his fluff actually kind of alludes to both. But in 3.5, it's actually the teeth of various vestiges. Even ones where teeth wouldn't make any sense, so don't worry about it. Which he had but yeah, basically he was a binder in life and had the idea of gathering these teeth and, replacing them with his own teeth. This drove him insane. Leave dentistry to the professionals, kid. So, while nothing here does damage, both Maddening Moan and Shield Self are more than make up for that. Yeah, Maddening Moan is like, let's see, a 30-foot spread, will save or be dazed. It has a 5-round cooldown, but that's still just good action economics. Technically comes with some natural armor. If you have a ridiculous con bonus and don't have an amulet of natural armor, or don't have an amulet of natural armor. Let's see. Oh yeah, so Shield Self is one of those fun. Yeah, designate something within, let's see, 10 feet per binder level to take half the damage that you take. This doesn't have to be friendly, by the way. Unwilling target does get a will save. This doesn't have a cooldown, you can just do this every round. Alright, now back to our regular scheduled Dentalion. Yeah, Dentalion the Star Emperor is the name of one of the 72 demons. In this instance, is an entire cursed royal bloodline who aren't allowed to join their deities after death. This is attached to a prestige class later. That's partially why we're talking about it. With the exception of the one round no save I call timeout, the vestiges basically go to have combat utility, but it's spread enough between read thoughts, knowing things, and a short rotation to have some use at least. He does things. It's just that, like, in a combat, you can basically go, yeah, don't want to attack me for a round. On a 5-round cooldown. And again, he's a high enough level that you're going to have another vestige, so you can use it for at least that. You're really binding him for the out-of-combat stuff, though. Okay. Karsus is a Forgotten Realms character. A powerful mage from the Netheral civilization, which had advanced magics and floating cities. To help further advance Netheral and deal with their neighbors, he devised a complex ritual spell known as Karsus' Avatar that would steal the power of a deity for himself, and he chose the Goddess of Magic, which was a bad idea, as her last act was cutting him off from the weave, turning all the magic in Faerun off completely, destroying his civilization and him as well. After the fiasco, no god wanted to claim his soul, and he became a vestige. If you're really good at using magic items, Karsus can be fairly strong, especially if you have sorcerer or wizard in your party to recharge a staff for you, as Karsus can let you use cash to pretend to be an effective spellcaster, as well as giving you detect magic style sense and a dispelling touch with a cooldown. If you just carry around a bunch of staffs, you could it'd be as long as there's someone who has spells to throw into him, it's good. Malthus was an elven royal scion who was forced to druid, became a simp for another druid, secretly murdered for the throne, was bad at covering his tracks, and found out his druid waifu was a drow, then died. You can summon a double raven that you have full control over, can see and hear through, and can replace at will with another one. This already makes you the best scout in the game, but you also have invisibility on cooldown and a modest amount of sudden strike dice as a bonus. Though good luck making the sudden strike work for like more than the first round of combat, basically, unless you want to go between casting invisibility on yourself and sudden strike, which is less than ideal. Can give you one very good opening attack with Adramalius, at least, I guess. Also on this page, Marcosius, the King of Killers. Another one that deserves a full reading of his legend because he is also amusing. So, Marcosius seems to have appeared as a vestige quite recently. In fact, only a short time before Dalinar did. In life, Marcosius was a human who brought death to others. His favorite targets were other assassins and murderers, but this choice of foes had nothing to do with morals. Despite despicably evil, Marcosius was obsessed with improving his skills as a killer, and ending the lives of other professional slayers seemed the best challenge he could undertake. When at last Marcosius met his death, his soul traveled to the 9 hells. The devils gleefully accepted his powerful spirit, but others there took note of his arrival and were not pleased. The spirits of hundreds of thugs, slaughterers, executioners, and assassins banded together and rebelled against their devilish captors, intending not to escape or take control, but to attack Marcosius. Although the devils were loath to allow such lawlessness, they let the souls of the damned fight it out, thinking to step in and punish all the spirits when the battle was over. Marcosius fought well, but he could not prevail against so many foes at once, and he fell under the onslaught. When the devils pulled back the attackers, nothing was left. Marcosius' soul had been torn to pieces.
Well, I have a question about Marcosius.
Uh-huh.
More of a why question.
Yep.
So you named a character after one of the Goetic demons, but you didn't use that Goetic demon sigil? Because that's the sigil for Shax.
Is it the symbol for Shax?
Unless I'm looking at the wrong one. No, I'm looking at the wrong. No,
You're
that is
looking at the wrong
Marcosius.
one. Yeah, it's up and down from it.
It's up and down. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Misread the thing. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
My poor reading skills.
Yep.
Happens.
No, I got confused on that and had to double check a few times too. It's like, wait, are you doing the? Oh no, wait, it's on top, not the bottom. Okay. Yeah.
Got so good at murdering people, they murdered him because he was dead.
Yep. So ability-wise, Arcosius is nothing impressive unless you're fighting a thieves guild or happen to want to play assassin for the day. The profession, not the class, mind you.
Yeah, the class is like a S rank class. Just play that instead.
Certainly. For more information on that, watch us rated prestige classes. There may be a sequel soon. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm gonna secretly go in and re-upload that video of an edited version of Assassin at X.
Let's see. Paimon the Dancer. A dancing swordsman and seducer who was good at both things. One of the people he beat had him jumped and cut off his sword hand, at which point he got a golden hand and a sword prospect to kick ass with, and kicked that guy's ass with it, but spared him to dance with the woman they both liked, at which point the douche and his friends jumped Paimon again, cutting off all his limbs, replacing them with blades, and leaving him for dead. At which point he shows back up on the dance floor covered in cloth and dancing up a storm, only to disappear when the cloth was ripped away. So Paimon is also okay, giving you access to weapon finesse and finesse and the ability to wield finesse weapons. Binders natively only have simple weapon proficiency.
You can do +4 dex.
And he also gives you +4 dex. And Dance of Death is more questionable, however, especially since you just plain have Whirlwind attack as well for binding this guy. It's like, yeah, you can move past people, hope you don't have tumble or anything, so you're going to just provoke attacks of opportunity. You get to make an attack against each one, or if you're in a good enough position, just hit them all with Whirlwind.
Well, you do get a +4 to tumble.
You get a +4 to tumble. And a +2 to dex, which helps a little bit with tumble as well, but
yeah.
It depends on how well you can actually rig up your tumble check, really, for how useful Dance of Death can get.
And having enough enemies to make it worth it.
Yeah. It might be useful in a weird multi-class, but that's about all I can think of on that. And finally, Tenebris, the Shadow That Was. So, the Demon Lord Orcus once grew too lazy and complacent and found himself killed by a usurper that took over his lair in the Abyss. Slain and resurrected in a burst of native energy that became the god Tenebris. As a plus, being a god was on Orcus's bucket list. As a minus, he didn't want to be the god Tenebris, but the god Orcus. And so the scheming began. That mostly failed, but after dying again, Orcus came back as a demon lord and Tenebris was discarded to become a vestige. So Tenebris here offers you a variable-sized Aura of Darkness, which is just 20% concealment versus anything that doesn't have the ability to see through magical darkness. He also gives you the ability to see through magical darkness, as well as a swift action cold damage weapon buff that is okay. Turn/rebuke undead on cooldown, whose levels stack with other turning sources, which I only say now because it matters later, and the ability to use Flicker as a supernatural ability eventually 3 times per day. He's one of the few that actually has an X time per day ability, oddly enough. Flicker being from later in this book, actually, but is basically a spell that, yeah, you'll cast this as a standard action, and then lets you immediately action just move away, or teleport away 5 feet per 2 caster levels. If you use this to try and dodge an attack, it gives the attack a 50% miss chance.
I would like to note that because the definition that Discord shares and the font choice they decided to use for the spell Flicker, it does not look like it says Flicker.
It's not.
Wait. There we're good. Are we good? Okay,
I cast Fucker.
So, anyways,
calm down there. We're not at the Book of Erotic Fantasy yet.
You didn't go for Asher Dowland?
We're not doing that book.
He's not in here. He's in Dragon Magic.
Was he not? Oh,
Yeah.
He's in Dragon Magic.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I absolutely would have covered him if he was in here, but no, he's in Dragon Magic. Yeah. Let's see. Anima Mage. The hybrid arcane binding class akin to Mystic Theurge or Arcane Trickster, really. So soul binding, because this will come up if almost all these prestige classes, the basically soul binding plus increases your level in binder for purposes of vestiges, including effective binder level when you combine multiple of them, and really most of the fucking class. You basically need most of the class features except for the minor trinkety shit that you barely care about. Anima Mage here also gives you, full casting progression, as well as the ability to turn a single granted power from a vestige into a higher level spell slot instead, but only if you make a good pact and you have an extra -5 of making the pact. It also gives you, let's see, +2 initiative if you have a good pact, and eventually 3 times per day swift action that lets you meta magic without without a spell level increase at the cost of losing a vestige's powers for 5 rounds. And a capstone that lets you once per day cast a spell as an immediate action that is also still and silent. This class is a strange, this class is a strange mix, but it does let you take advantage of the more utility-oriented vestiges while relying on spell casting to actually do things, or you can make a gish of some sort or something else. I guess that's really what just comes to mind. But this is pretty open-ended, quite frankly. You need 3 and 3. You need basically 3 in both classes. You get level 2 vestiges at level 3 as a binder. Yeah. So it's just a good Mystic Theurge variant. I'm not sure if Mystic Theurge is quite right. It's Arcane Trickster, I guess. It's something like that.
Yeah. Arcane Trickster-ish, but it works well enough.
Yeah.
Full casting progression and effectively full binding progression.
Yeah. Let's see. Knight of the Sacred Seal, a martial binding class that requires no multiclassing from binder. You can just go straight into this from it. It gives you, let's see, a good attack bonus and full binding progression, proficiency with martial weapons, all armor and shields, which binder doesn't get by default. They only get light armor. They might get shield and they get simple weapons. They might get light shields, but yeah. Also, your weapon attacks are treated as both of your alignments if you aren't neutral, or whatever alignment isn't neutral if you're neutral X, or one choice of alignment if you're true neutral, which is the only way to actually, because you can't be chaotic and get into this class, it's the only way to actually have your weapon counted as chaotic. That doesn't matter. You're probably going to go for like lawful or chaotic good, or well, you can't do chaotic good. Lawful good is probably your best option in most campaigns. Yeah. Also, you have a patron vestige, which allows you to automatically make good pacts with it, but you lose access to this class's features if you don't have a pact with it. Let's see. You also get a cooldown swift action that adds your charisma to AC and reflex saves for 1 round that eventually applies to adjacent allies. Another cooldown swift action that gives you a +2 strength and con, +10 speed, and +4 to will saves for 1 round. And 2 capstones, one that makes you a native outsider, and the other that lets you, once per day, activate an ability from your patron vestige or this class that is already on cooldown. Yeah. This is probably better than advancing a straight binder, except you are stuck with whatever vestige you choose as your patron, meaning that if your ideal always on vestige is one you can't bind yet, you have to wait until later to start taking levels in this class, or be stuck with vestige you may not want. Yeah.
Basically, once you know a vestige you're always going to bind, you can start taking this class.
Yeah. And the qualifications aren't too bad. Weapon focus is hardly a problem, really.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scion of Dantalion, and the reason we talked about him earlier. A binder class all about Dantalion, the Star Emperor. In addition to full binder progression, you automatically bind Dantalion and can suppress his sign, which is a growing number of faces on your chest as you advance in class levels. Also gives you a once per day reroll on knowledge checks, better rethoughts. It makes Awe of Dantalion, the one that made as a move action things not able to hit you, usable as a swift action instead, in a weird double ability, double cooldown thing, but just it works. They over fucking complicated this. Basically, this action is a swift action that lets you it activates Awe of Dantalion as a swift action. It puts itself on a 5-round cooldown, and Awe of Dantalion's also on a 5-round cooldown. So it just fucking works. Okay, it's they could have just said you could use this thing as a swift action. It would have fucking worked the same. Let's see. They also get a standard action will save or daze for D4 rounds against something whose thoughts you are reading. A cooldown 30-foot cone that requires you to expose your chest and forces a fort save or blind for D4 rounds. It lets you use Dentalion's teleport as a move action instead of a standard action, making it far, far better. And for use in combat, more specifically, and the ability to read multiple minds at once. So read thoughts is good out of combat utility, but it's not worth doing in a fight, barring scenario reasons, as it requires basically 2 failed will saves to get. It will require a failed will save for you to start reading their thoughts and a different action, and then they have to fail a will save on the next action or be dazed.
And the surface level thoughts in combat are going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah. This is mitigated a little when you can try and read multiple minds at once, but not enough for the action economics to properly math, really. The flashy glare and reducing auto a swift action on the other hand are solid abilities, even if one requires stripping a little bit. The big rub of this class is Dentalion requires level 10 to bind, meaning you can't start taking the class until level 11, and there are a lot of other vestiges that are probably about equal to what this class is offering on their own. It's like, he definitely tunes up Dentalion, but at the same time, you might just have a better vestige by the time you care.
But if you really like Dentalion,
if you really like Dentalion. And again, you don't lose binding progression.
You don't lose anything for doing it, so.
Yep. Let's see. Tenebris Apostate, a Tenebris-based divine binder hybrid class that revolves around Tenebris and loses 1 level of both binding and casting for, let's see, you are automatically bound to Tenebris as one of your vestiges each day. You still have to make a check to see whether or not you have a good pact. You can use the turn/rebuke from Tenebris to damage undead within 30 feet for a d6 per level, and or if you're doing turn, it damages them for a d6 per level. If you're doing rebuke, it heals them for a d6 per level. Notably, that it's per turning level, and you're adding both your binder and clerk levels, and this class is scaling both your binder and clerk levels at the same time past level 1, so you're actually going to have a higher turning level than character level after a while. Also gives you a +1 dodge bonus to AC, and mindless and dead ignore you as their default state. Lets you use 2 turn/rebukes to do the /damage healing thing from the previous ability, but only against mindless undead. The ability to outright turn on corporeal, and you can spend turn or rebuke to deal 1d8 per turning level to living creatures in a 30-foot cone once per day. So because of how this class works, your effective turn level will be your binder plus your clerk level. So after 5 levels in this class, your turn level will increase by 8, so you're basically 3 over your actual level, which really mostly matters for these class features, unless you, I don't know, are constantly in situations where you really want to turn undead. And know how that works, and it somehow works. Dealing with a lot of low-level undead, basically. And the capstone is once per day for some stupid reason. It being easily the best thing you get from this class, and would have actually diversified it a bit more. But beyond that, it's fine. You're a hybrid class, which is a class that's its own kind of feature. But at the same time, it's only a 5-level hybrid class, and furthermore, you need 7 levels of binder and 1 level of clerk minimum to qualify for, since Tenebris is a level 4 vestige, meaning in reality you're going to be a binder with a splash of divine magic, no matter how you slice it, really. As far as an undead campaigns are concerned, this is probably just good, but it drops off in anything else. It has a lot of utility versus undead, but not much else to it.
It's one of those, this is great if you're running insert focused campaign here.
Yeah.
Like that one prestige class that is just ruinously powerful against evil outsiders, but does literally nothing for you if you're not fighting evil outsiders.
Knight of the Chalice, I think, or something like that.
I think Knight of the Chalice, yeah.
Let's see. And finally, Witchslayer, the anti-binder class. So it gets once per class level day Smite Spirit Sharer, which is the second most limited smite we've seen. It's usable on binders and possessed things. Metal, which is not bad actually.
No, Metal's actually legitimately good.
Yeah, just no effect. no effect when you pass a will of fort save instead of reduced effects. Yeah. Evasion for
evasion, but for fort will.
Yeah. Let's see. Locate Possession, which is akin to the attack spell, but for possessing creatures or objects. Slippery Mind, which is not bad to have. It lets you make a... I think I mentioned it earlier, but didn't mention what it does. Slippery Mind is you get an extra save a turn later from Mind Affecting Effect. And then usually good capstone. Momentary Disjunction, which is a swift action that forces something within 30 feet of you to make a will save, which is DC 20 plus Charisma, or not be able to cast spells, spell-like abilities, or use supernatural abilities for 1 round, and has a 5-round cooldown akin to a lot of binder abilities. Yep. So if your DM wants to run nothing but binders, this class is great. Otherwise, you're here for the capstone. That is the best thing here. The save, as the save DC is well above rate for a 10th level character, but otherwise this is kind of meh. Yeah, for some reason they decided it should be 20.
Yeah, that's just a solid ability in general.
Yeah.
Assuming you're ever going to find a spellcaster or something or spell-like abilities or supernatural abilities.
Yeah.
Which you are. So.
Yeah. No, turn the spellcaster off for a turn is really fucking good. Even if this is targeting their good save, the DC is high. Also, you get Metal and Slippery Mind, and then there's 2 other features that you don't care about.
I mean, there's also like high-level monsters, like especially if you're doing like outsiders, tend to have just here's a bucket list of spell-like abilities,
That's
or
true too.
Here's a bunch of supernatural abilities. You get to turn all those off as well. So
yeah, and as a swift action, it doesn't even eat your turn. Yeah. All right. Pack magic feats. And more specifically, feats we're talking about. So let's see. Unsurprisingly, this chapter is full of feats and enhanced binding. So here's Bind Vestige Improved. Oh, that's right. There's also one line of feats that I didn't put the text for. Here's the text for Bind or the start of the text for Bind Vestige. It actually goes on into the next page. It basically is for non-binders. It will for non-binders. It lets you basically get 1 power from a level 1 vestige. Bind Vestige Improve lets you get a 2nd power from it, I believe. You have access. No, have access is up to 3rd level, and practiced is you get a 2nd power. This specifically lists which powers you get, so you'll get this one for binding these things as the 1st power, and this one for the 2nd one. It's an okay line of feats, but you're specifically looking for one feature or another. Most notable thing I can see offhand here is let's see, Malphus Bird's Eye Viewing is the one that lets you spawn the doves and ravens. So if you want infinite bird works, it would cost you 3 feats, I think, because he's not a level 1 vestige. But actually, it's almost contemplatable for 3 feats, even if poison use is completely fucking worthless because it's poison use.
Yeah, if you don't poison use, just be an assassin.
Yep. Obligatory anti this class feat, although they actually made it halfway decent this time because it's just a +2 insight bonus versus supernatural special attacks. All vestiges are supernatural special attacks, but that happens to apply to a lot of monsters as well. It's still not great, but it's far better than like +2 insight bonus for saving throws versus vestige abilities, which would be fucking useless. Supernatural Crusader, which is actually almost, I could even say this is almost good. +1 insight bonus on attack and damage rolls versus creatures with supernatural special abilities, which is, let me check the monster manual. Most of them. This is most of the monster manual.
As long as you don't have another source of an insight bonus, yeah, go ahead and take this feat.
Yeah. Also throw this on the list of feats that give you a +1 attack that are not broken. This way he throws a weapon damage onto it.
Well, it is very limiting on its targets.
Yeah. Very limited on its targets, like 80% of the things in the monster manual. Let's see. Along the same feat line, Supernatural Opportunist. Whenever a creature you threaten activates a supernatural ability, you can just make an attack of opportunity against it. This is more dependent on what you're actually fighting in a campaign, but that can be potentially good, actually. Also, Widen Supernatural Ability, which is a placeholder for, there's one of these for several different types. It's basically once per day you can insert meta magic here on supernatural ability that you use. You can take it multiple times to get extra uses of it. Skilled pack making +4 to your binding checks in case you want to bind things that have. So the thing about special requirements is sometimes they're very simple, like, hey, draw this outside. Sometimes they're you can't bind these other vestiges as well. Uh,
I hate that dude in particular.
yeah. So that's why ignore special requirements can, depending on what you're doing, can actually be mandatory. Similarly, skilled pack making also kind of becomes somewhat mandatory because I believe you still have to. No, this just lets you ignore it even if you don't make good pact. The skilled pack making is better if you don't want people to notice that you're a binder because some signs are really fucking obvious. Others are Dentalians, and you're good as long as you keep your shirt on.
Yep.
Let's see. Improved binding. Your effective binder level is 2 higher than normal for purposes of determining the level of vestige you can bind, which is kind of interesting. Whether it's good or not depends on what you're doing, but it is kind of interesting. Especially when you're actually doing the hybrids. So it can actually boost your binder level a little bit higher than usual. Possibly give you access to stuff that you wouldn't normally have access to. For doing a straight class, it's obviously not the greatest, but can give you access to stuff early, I guess. Rapid pack making. Once per day, you can bind a vestige as a full round action. Which, if once you have multiple
They let you leave a pact open so you could bind it later as a full round action.
Yeah. There's probably an even better way of doing this that we'll get to in a minute, but it's one of the ways of trying to make it's one of the things that can make your class a little bit more versatile, so you can pull from a toolbox. Let's see. Sudden ability focus. Once per day increases the DC of a special ability by 2. Similar idea to the pseudo meta magics here. Let's see. Favorite vestige. Increase binder level by 1 when use abilities granted by your chosen vestige, which is mainly here because let's see. DC is increased by 1. Yes. Yeah, this is how out of the way you have to get to actually increase the DC of supernatural abilities of 1 vestige by 1.
Yeah, and the one reduces the cooldown from 5 rounds to 4 rounds.
Yeah. And rapid recover, which reduces the cooldown from 5 rounds to 4 rounds, which...
Yeah,
your fight has to be 9 rounds for this to do something, basically. Because otherwise you're going to get 2 uses out of it. Or 4 rounds, I guess, technically.
Or 4 rounds, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. And on to, let's see, pack magic items. So, Chime of Suppression, if you really want to stop someone from using a vestige, I guess. Or no, wait, this is if you want to stop the vestige within your... That's right. This one stops the vestige within yourself from influencing you, so if you've made a bad pact, it's kind of an insurance policy, so you can not do stupid shit, because sometimes they have you do stupid shit with their influence. Implements a binding. It's bonus on your bind check. Just plain good. Also a knife if you really want a knife. Soul Lens here. Save DC of any supernatural abilities on you by vestige increases by 1, so at least there's an item for that. Seal the Spirit is a thing. So yeah, the Teeth of Davalnar that we talked about earlier. Yeah, there's a bunch of these. So as I mentioned, in first edition, they were one. They originally were in the first edition Dungeon Master Guides as an artifact, and appeared in second edition as artifacts as well. The fluff changed slightly between them. Here they are just magic items that you can craft. The fluff on them is basically if one of them gets, I think there's, if one of them gets destroyed, another one just kind of gets remade, and there's literally one for every vestige. That with various abilities that are basically themed after the vestige that they're from. And finally, the Vestige Phylactery, and probably the most interesting item in this section. So, as a full round action, you can just bind a vestige to this box. It lasts for 24 hours. The difficulty is increased by 10, but it lasts for 24 hours. And you can, once per day, call the vestige out of this box. Call the vestige out of this box and bind it to yourself. Shove it, this brings you above your normal limit, you can shove out one of your previous ones. So this can let you actually change out vestiges. If you're a high enough level, these things cost 15k each, so hypothetically you can juggle a bunch of boxes and use them as a weird utility thing.
I have become a Tetris wizard.
Okay, on to the monsters. Starting with a deadly dancer, who is themed after Pi. The monsters in this section are actually, like, related to various vestiges. Deadly Dancer is related to Paimon, the guy whose limbs got all replaced with swords. So
That's Hyper Voldo.
let's see. Also, Carsites, which is an entire race of people. Yeah, this is when he was called old. Yeah, subrace of humans born at random among the human population. This is remnants of Cartus's bullshit. Basically. Yeah, it's his. I think it's actually his bloodline proper. And you can actually run them as characters. I'm not going to evaluate them because I cut that part off. Also, oh no, wait, it doesn't exist. I have to reverse engineer the class. Screw that. But yeah, they basically have anti-magic abilities. The Roving Mauler, by the way, that's just fucking Beware. It's...
Yeah, you have to reverse engineer the class. The stats are on here.
Oh no, yeah, they're right here. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
+2 con, +2 charisma.
Spell resistance is okay. Might actually
Full spell resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. You have 2 level adjustment, but yeah. Effectively, it's into the spell resistance in a weird way. Magic drain attack. Melee attacks can weaken foes. Magic, arm, weapon, shield. Just suppresses the stuff. That's not bad, actually. Spell healing. Whenever the spell resistance prevents, you heal. Cannot cast spells.
Cast spells.
They can use spell-like abilities, psionic powers, magic items normally. Favorite class is Binder, because why not? Yeah. What are these stats again? Yeah, they're okay. Nothing amazing, but they're okay. Also, rolling line thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swarm, Murder of Crows, which I'm more surprised is didn't exist already, actually. It's related to Malthus. That's the reason. It's here. And this disturbing fucker, a Tooth Beast.
Ah,
Tooth Beast.
Something seems wrong with it.
that's
I
my
can't tell
friend.
what.
The Tooth Beast.
Or you want the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth.
It has teeth for skin, and teeth for claws, and teeth for eyes, and teeth for teeth.
I think
But it has a
that's
normal
land
nose.
shark.
The most terrifying teeth. The teeth.
Like that's got teeth for claws instead of just claws.
Teeth or claws.
Yeah. Let's see. And in here are some pack magic organizations of a few sorts, which we won't go into detail. Pack magic adventuring sites, which have some pretty pictures and
Wow,
just some
Genie got
ideas.
pissed.
Hmm?
Genie got pissed.
Oh yeah. They're in his hidden library. And the back of the book, which is not actually the back of the book, but as I said, this is basically 3 mini books, so we're going to pause at the end of each of these to actually talk about this for a bit.
That's the end of Pack Magic.
The end of Pack Magic, and okay, honestly, this is easily the best part of this book. It has its foibles and issues, but it mostly works, and is neat as hell. Binder is actually roughly half of what became 4th and 5th edition Warlock. And for good reason. This is actually just kind of neat. They got rid of the vestige part, but they replaced it with basically other power sources. Yeah. But yeah, this is actually some of my favorite material in 3.5, along with other parts that are my favorite material in 3.5. But I really do just like Binder.
But Pack Magic and Binders are fun, and as we'll see here in a bit, True Name has some issues, and I forgot Shadow Magic existed, to give you an idea of how I feel about Shadow Magic.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah. Krampus Hunter, any thoughts on this section so far?
Not particularly, considering I came in quite late.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Krampus, and I just got here.
Yep.
I'd heard of binders before, but haven't really touched into them at all, and I guess I never will.
Yeah.
I conceptually like Pact Magic. I don't like a lot of the implementation of it here.
How so?
It feels overly convoluted for what it is.
It's one of those ones that looks more convoluted than it actually is, because it's basically like, once you make choices, it's like, you have this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is basically just a menu of power options, but
Yeah.
yeah. They all just come as a bundle, and that's the weird part of it.
Also, now having dabbled a bit with 5th Ed, Pact Magic conceptually to me is now just, that's a fucking warlock.
Yeah.
They
Again,
make
this
a pact.
Yep.
Again,
This
was
is-
Warlock pre-Warlock.
Yeah, kinda.
Effectively.
This, along with Warlock, was Warlock pre-Warlock.
Warlock pre-Warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to getting to the discussion about true name magic, though.
Oh yeah, we'll have a discussion with True Name Magic. But first, on to the second part of this book, Shadow Magic.
Wait, what?
That's just Loki.
Yeah, exactly. So the second type of magic in this book, Shadow Magic, which manipulates the energies of the plane of shadow, which in later editions becomes the Shadowfell, to produce spell-adjacent abilities called mysteries that require further explanation that we'll get into right now to make this thing make any fucking sense. So fundamental mysteries are cantrip equivalents that you select, and you select them as you please. There's no restrictions on which ones you can select when they give you the option to. They are supernatural abilities that you use 3 times a day. They more or less read like this, so it's very much looks like a spell, including having spell levels, etc. Like Arrow of Dusk here is just a ranged touch attack that does 2d4 non-lethal, crits for 3 times damage. Simple, straightforward, effectively pseudo spell. Okay, so the other categories are divided into paths of 3 progressively higher level mysteries, like Cloak of Shadows here, which we'll use as a very quick example. So in order to take a mystery in a path, you have to start with the lowest level mystery and work your way down. So if you want to get Sharp Shadows, you first have to take Steel Shadows and then Sight Eclipse before you can take Sharp Shadows. Furthermore, you have to know 2 mysteries of the previous level before you can learn a higher one. So in order to learn Sight Eclipse, you have to know Steel Shadows and another level 1 mystery. In order to learn Sharp Shadows, you have to know Sight Eclipse and another level 2 mystery, etc. This isn't.
You have had to add an additional 2. Actually, I don't know.
It's.
Never mind.
You get 2 level 1s, then you can get 2 level 2s, then
Yeah.
you can get 2 level
Yeah,
3s. Yeah. The only exception
They
here
don't
is.
need to be different level 1s to get that level second level 2.
Yeah, they need to be different level 1s to get the second level 2, and one of them has to be the previous one. Let's see.
I meant
yeah.
more for your second level 2, you can use the same level 1s you used for your first level 2. As long as one of the ones before it is the precursor. Yeah.
Yeah. It's once you have 2, you're good, and you can once you have 2 level 1s, you're good, and you can take as many level 2s as you qualify for. Technically, you're going to have as many level 1s as level 2s, but yeah. So the only exception here is you can always learn the first mystery of a path. So once you gain access to, or once you're high enough to learn access to the initiative paths, which are the 4 through 6s, you can just straight up start on a level 4, even if you don't have 2 level 3s. Yeah, so you can learn Warp Spell here, even if you don't know 2 level 3 mysteries. So now that we've explained the simpler part, now let's explain the stupider part. Initially, you can only use Apprentice Mysteries and they are once per day arcane spells. But when you hit 7 and you learn Initiative Mysteries, all the Apprentice Mysteries you know can be cast twice per day as spell-like abilities. When you hit 13...
Interesting change.
Yep. It keeps going. When you hit 13, you can now cast your apprentice ones 3 times per day, and they're now supernatural abilities, and your initiate ones you can cast twice per day, and they're spell-like abilities. So this is weird ladder.
Yeah.
Also, you learn 1 fundamental mystery level and can learn the same mystery more than once, which will give you another set of uses of that mystery, including scaling in the same way. So if you learn Steel Shadows twice, once you hit level 7, you'll be able to cast it 4 times, because you can normally cast each of them 2 times, and you have two selections of it. All mysteries, by the way, are standard actions by default. They will never list actions up here. Sometimes they'll list a different action in the text, but they're standard actions by default. So with that explained, let's get into the actual core class itself, the Shadowcaster. They start with 3 of the fundamentals, the cantrips, and gain another every 4 levels for some reason. Gain a mystery level as previously described. They use charisma for their DCs of the fundamental, with fundamentals being 10 plus charisma, and despite having a spell level, everything else uses 10 plus the level listed plus your charisma. To learn fundamentals, however, you need int of 10 plus the level of the fundamental. Though this is less annoying than it is usual for dual stat casters, because your higher stat doesn't actually give you a bonus spells. So once you get to 19, you need a 19 int by 17, which you can easily do with magic items practically alone. You need a 13 and a +6 magic item, and you're good. You can cast every mystery. And you don't use int for anything else but like skill points, basically. You also get 1 bonus feat every 2 paths you know at least 1 mystery in, rounding down, which can be selected from metamagic feats, which you can't use on, it lets you select metamagic feats, which notably, metamagic feats can't be used on mysteries, period. And some mystery feats from this book, including meta shadow feats, which are actually the metamagic equivalent feats that actually work on mysteries. You also gain dark vision, or an increase in the range of dark vision, whichever eventually proves to let you see through magical darkness as well. As well as, I don't know, the ability, you need to eat less, sleep less, become immune to non-magical disease and poison, a capstone of not needing to eat, breathe, or sleep. Also 14, you gain unlimited use of fundamentals long after you've stopped doing much, because for some fucking reason you stuck around in this class for 14 levels. So this class of this casting system functions, is usable, and you can have fun playing it, but the clunk is so beyond the pale and largely pointless. Not just making mysteries one of the 3 categories of mysteries divided into 3 categories of arcane spells, spell-likes, and supernatural abilities, and just sticking to that is the most unnecessary and in ways pointless things I've seen them do. Even once you hit 7, all of your initiate abilities turn to spell-like abilities, which means they're no longer semantic, so you'd be able to like put on armor. No, you can't, because you now have your level 7 and most powerful abilities that are still spells, so putting on armor will screw with those. So this never stops. Your highest level mysteries are always going to be arcane spells. So there's not really a functional difference between it being spell or spell-like, besides not being able to be counterspelled, I believe is you can't counterspell a spell-like ability, apparently, which basically doesn't happen anyways. The difference between supernatural abilities and the other 2 is something as it ignores spell resistances, you don't provoke attack opportunities. Supernatural abilities are legitimately just better. But the juice here isn't worth the squeeze from a design perspective. They spent a fucking ton of words on something that is just not worth the space. Also, you know that phenomenon where low-level casters have a really difficult time, but then when you get out to like mid or high levels, they get way better? Oh yeah, this is like even worse with this class. At low levels, you have even less casts, and it takes you quite a while before you can actually really develop into having a decent amount of mysteries. It's still good, but it is kind of a pain. Strangely enough, this is actually considered like a tier 4 class, which is really low for anything that has like access to effectively level 9 spells. And level 9 mysteries are about the equivalent of level 9 spells. Let's see. So, as you can imagine from how the bare bones the base class actually is, you're better off going into prestige classes. So, to go over how that works, you're considered to have a caster level, but you're not arcane or divine, and you can cast spells of basically level. So you qualify for anything that says you need to be of caster level X or can cast spells of level X, so long as they don't define it arcane or divine. Spell progression will give you new mysteries, higher level paths, and new fundamentals, but will not give you the bonus feats somehow, even though you get that class feature at 2, and there's no indication that it wouldn't stop working, but okay, I guess. Any case. Moving on to Child of Night. A caster that gives up 1 level of spellcasting to, let's see, get plus class level to hide checks, immunity to non-magic poison disease, and eventually no need to eat, sleep, and breathe. Dancing Shadows eventually twice per day. Swift Action Blur starting once per day, then eventually going up 3 times per day, and then eventually becoming just a constant blur effect. Cold Resist eventually goes to 15. Swift Action to placement twice per day. And Night Form, which is 1 minute of incorporeal with a 40-foot perfect fly speed. You're trading spell level for missed chances against you. This is more flavorful than actually useful here, and even flavorful is probably me being way too generous. You're not giving up much. It is just 1 spell level. So, that, but you're not really gaining much either. It's okay. Let's see. Master of Shadows. Another caster prestige class that loses a casting level to, let's see, transform the familiar you get from a prerequisite feat. The Shadow Familiar literally gives you a familiar with the Dark template, which is a minor template that's in this book. But yeah, transforms that into a scaling shadow elemental that you can just replace a day later if it dies with no penalties whatsoever, and you can give extra abilities for 1 round at the cost of a standard action initially, and then later a move action, and eventually a swift action, and you can do all 3 in a round once you have all those. You also gain resistance to cold, and the capstone of your new shadow servant arrives 10 minutes after death instead of a day after death. So Shadow Elementals are actually good scouts, being incorporeal with a 40-foot perfect fly speed, blind sight 60 feet, and while this one isn't just going to die automatically in combat, it isn't great at doing much more than harassing fodder with, at best, 3 touch attacks that do, let's see, a d6 plus a d6 and a d8 cold damage, and this is if you use like 2 actions to do that. But it can also deliver touch spells, and there are touch spells for days and mysteries, and they are quite good ones for in the normal. Yeah. And if you're not, because all these classes can also be used with normal casters, if you're doing normal casting, that they're good ones in normal casting as well. That is actually the nice thing about these prestige classes, is you don't actually have to be playing Shadowcaster for most of them. Yeah. I don't think for any of them, actually. So they are usable with other casters. Let's see. Noctumancer, the hybrid mystery arcane caster class that has full progression in both. I think this is the only exception, because it's the Mystic Theurge equivalent.
Yep.
Yeah. The extra caster level, let's see, you get an extra caster level the round after you dispel something from someone else, and eventually 3 times per day immediate action counterspell that uses a spell/slot/mystery of the same level or higher to do so, and eventually gives you a spell back that is half the level of the thing you dispelled, so it's not as powerful as the spell you used, but it's still a bit of a refund. Let's see, a 3 times per day will save or -4 to caster level with someone, and 2 capstones, one of which makes you immune for a minute to spells or mysteries you dispel or counter, and the other that lets you once per day emit a 20-foot aura of -4 caster level to everyone but you. Realistically, you're the sorcerer as the arcane part of this, as a Mystic Theurge startup class, it just hits all the notes and offers a bit of counter spell magic as well. It's just good. It's kind of hard to go wrong with a Mystic Theurge style class, honestly.
Yeah, as long as if you're getting full progression in 2 casting classes, you're going to be fine pretty much no matter what you do.
Yeah.
You have to really drop the ball.
Yeah, you have to purposely build it bad as a joke. Shadowblade, a melee class that gets full sudden strike progression and unseen weapon, which lets you spend a standard action wrapping a melee weapon in shadows, which goes away when sheathed. With that weapon, you can, once per day per class level, activate a swift action, a growing list of different effects, which are in order: ignore concealment on your next melee attack, deny dex on your next melee attack, plus 2d6 damage on your next melee attack. Your next melee attack is a touch attack, and plus 10-foot reach for 1 round. At level 10, this becomes a free action, but there's still the daily class level limits on usage.
Yeah.
You also gain plus 1/2 of your class level to hide and move silently, better seen in shadows, and eventually which eventually just becomes straight up see in darkness. Which see in darkness is it's blind sight with or it's dark vision with no limits whatsoever, and I think magical darkness as well. Yeah, magical darkness as well.
Be a fun tip for assassin.
Yeah, that's a fun tip. Ninja's probably a better fit.
It has Sunstrike progressions, and Ninja would be fine.
Yeah. So the weapon thing is somewhat meh, mostly because of the annoying startup, honestly, and the Sunstrike. Yeah, the Sunstrike is not as good on its own.
The startup
if you don't
and
have Ninja.
the 10 times a day limit, which is just kind of like whatever.
Yeah, that being a little. It's so if you are actually doing this, with Ninja, and because the startup does last until you put the weapon away, so if you are walking through a dungeon, you can just constantly have your weapon out. It does let you save your key points for when you can actually full rounds, because you could just use it as a way of denying dex for one attack. So there's that, at least. Let's see. But yeah, you can... you also lose a lot of skill points. That's the only other clause over Ninja, because this is 2+ int as opposed to 6+ int. So if you were doing the skill monkey thing, it is a big loss there as well. So it is a question of, is this worth it over just taking more levels in Ninja? Because realistically, that's about the best class it fits with anyways. Let's see. Shadowsmith. A martial sort of class that uses shadows to make stuff. It gains proficiency with martial weapons, light armor, and shields. Eventually, 3 full mysteries, following the same rules as Shadowcaster, using int to cast, meaning these are arcane spells. These are just straight arcane spells. So, which we'll come back later for. Also gains Touch of Shadow, which is a repeatable self-buff that adds to climb checks and makes you untrackable. A repeatable plus class level to hide and move silently checks. Shadowcraft, the main feature of this class that lets you make things half class level times per day from pure shadow, requiring a DC 20 craft check of the appropriate crafting skill, whatever you're doing, and starting with items and weapons, but eventually you can also make armor that automatically get its an enhancement bonus that adds +10 to your hide, and the ability to distribute class level -5 enhancement bonus to things you craft, increasing their DCs by the enhancement bonus. And at level 10, one weapon you craft has the shadow striking property, which makes it emulate all alignment and material properties needed to overcome damage reduction. It's actually not a bad property. They also get a standard action repeatable +2 deflection bonus that becomes +4, and a swift action later, so it's crappy and becomes good-ish.
Yep.
Assuming you don't have a really high level ring of deflection. And the ability to give Touch of Shadows to allies, which is the ability that adds to climb checks and makes you untrackable. So this class has one core feature that goes with the theme and a random collection of dissonant stuff outside of the crafting. I could give you the hide and move silently buff, but the climb buff and trackless that you can spread to allies is a what?
Well, it has BAB 5 requirement and has full base attack bonus.
Yeah,
honestly, it's meant to be a ranger AC or a ranger prestige class.
Yeah, it's
because that would tie in with the tracking and the stealth stuff.
It does, but I think all those Arcana is weird. I don't think Ranger gets Arcana, but it's only 3 ranks. So yeah, you could have 3 ranks by the time you have BAB 5. Everyone gets Craft. Yeah, it probably that's the best thinking I can. Yeah, that's probably the best explanation for this. But yeah, it's still weird considering it's called Shadowsmith.
As Smith things out of shadows.
Yeah. Also, why do you have arcane spell mysteries that you can't cast without ignoring the armor, and then can craft as part of their main class feature that you gave them proficiency in if they already... You can make armor, you gave them proficiency in armor, and then you gave them spells that they... What the fly...
As we've seen numerous times, just because they can make classes doesn't mean they're good at making classes. Also, this is a prestige class, so realistically, your DM should be going over this anyway.
This is just tying your own shoelaces together, stupid. That's the fucking issue. Also, yeah, as far as offense goes, this class is kind of lacking, as well as the enhancement bonus is not even a good feature, and it's replaced by better items made by others. the only exception is when you get to 10 and can have a +5 weapon that overcomes all damage reduction, which is situationally useful. It is legitimately good when it's good. After getting to level 15. And you could probably also just buy that item at 15. Alright, on defeats. So let's see. Shadowcast here, which is actually one of their better features. I just plain like this feat. You designate a square adjacent to you. If nothing threatens, you just don't provoke attacks of opportunity when casting spell or spell-like abilities. This is really good for a class that has a lot of mystery or spell and spell-like abilities that are touch spells. So you don't have to cast defensively in order to actually touch them. You can just do it automatically. Let's see. Shadow Familiar, especially since they're charisma based, but yeah. As well, you're gonna have a decent con, but yeah. Shadow Familiar, which we talked about earlier, but is basically a sorcerer wizard familiar, except also has the dark template, which is not a big deal, but it's there. Path focus and greater path focus, where it's the improvement one, but it's, instead of like a spell school, it's a path. +1 cast level, etc., etc. Note that even if you do take because of how restrictive this class is, even if you do take the things that are, even if you do take like spell focus to increase the DCs of a spell school, they don't apply to mysteries because of the specific rules for mysteries. Feats that would normally apply to spells do not apply to mysteries, even if they would normally otherwise. Let's see. Unseen Arrow, which I probably should have put with that other class, but basically Shadow Blade. With Unseen Weapon, it lets them actually have ranged, basically thrown or missile weapons for their class. But yeah, here's this rule here. You can't benefit from feats that enhance spells, such as metamagic feats, ability focus, or empowered spell-like ability. Instead, mysteries benefit from metashadow feats. Metashadow feats are themselves they're basically sudden metamagic feats, or the equivalent thereof. With the major advantage being they don't require anywhere near their ridiculous prerequisites, at the very least, for like especially Quicken. Whereas I think Quicken was, for sudden Quicken, you had to have like every fucking sudden feat, including the bad ones. This is just, no, you just have to have 3 of any meta shadow feat, and like they're not awful. They are once per day, so they're kind of restricted, but they're not awful. And finally, Favored Mystery, which is, I wouldn't say, is interesting within this weird system of trading up from spell to spell-like to supernatural. As you choose a mystery, if it's a spell, it becomes a spell-like. If it's a spell-like, it becomes a supernatural. If it's a supernatural, you get an extra use of it, but it can push like a mystery into supernatural, which just plain makes it better and easier to use. It's not good per se, but it is interesting.
A lot of people say it goes on for way too long, and then they start rehashing plots, and then they get really bad CG on the last episode, and you kind of wonder, like, what was the whole point of all this?
I wonder what the whole point of all this while I was reading all of these sections, but that's a different matter entirely. Okay, on to stuff that's a little bit more interesting. Yeah, there's a decent amount of paths, as you can see, but not exactly an amazing amount. There's only so much room in this book, so it's kind of understandable. Also, new condition, Immobilize. It does exactly what you think it does. You can't move. If you're flying, you start to descend. That's it. I'm more legitimately amazed this didn't exist beforehand, but let's see. Oh yes, there was one mystery I wanted to go over from this page, which was Armory of Shadow, which I find quite amusing because this is they do have an actual decent summon monster line. This one is, let's see, you get 1 Elder, 2 Greater, or 4 Huge, or 8 Large Shadow Elementals. It's just a lot of Shadow Elementals. All their summons are basically the same way they summon Shadow Elementals.
Notably, squiggly.
Yeah. Notably, this is standard action, unlike normal summoning, because that's how mysteries work. Okay, now the list of stuff I actually found interesting. Let's see. Ben perspective over here. Let's see. Decent first level 1. You get to view the world as though you were standing somewhere else. You can switch back and forth between these visions. It's just a good scouting ability. It's the level 1 spell. Well, level 1 mystery. What do you want for level 1? It's decent utility. Let's see. Blackfire here. D6 cold damage per 2 caster levels. Oh, that's right. This creates an area hazard on the dark, which is also part of the dark terrain line, which also includes Carpet of Shadows, which creates an area sticky floor, doubling movement cost, and clinging darkness here. Let's see. Which creates an area reflex saver immobilize, which is especially funny with Blackfire, because yeah, they just keep burning. Also notable, Blackfire does not actually have a damage cap technically. It's only ever going to do 10d6 at most, but it doesn't actually have a cap. Also, cold damage is very common among shadow magic. Let's see. Bolster, which was just a legitimately good source of temporary hit points. You get 5 per hit dice. Yeah, the target gets 5 per hit die for the duration. Let's see. Dark Soul, while this action uses standard action to focus shadow energies on one living creature within 30 feet, they must succeed a will save or immediately make a melee attack against one target within their reach. And I really wish a lot more of their mysteries actually worked like this, because you get a very limited amount of mysteries per day, but ones that can actually linger and give you effects from round to round aren't terrible. Yeah. But a lot of them are more like instantaneous, so they're just fire and forget. Echo spell here, which is legitimately one of the most unique effects they have. You echo a mystery or spell cast by anyone other than yourself. I believe you are limited to no higher than level 4. This is a level 5. But yeah, you can just copy a spell that was cast. Which I don't think I recall as anything actual arcane or divine magic does. Let's see. Ethereal Storm here. Granted, this is a level 9 power, but it is like, here's an area. Let's see. 1 living creature per 2 level, no more than 20 feet apart. Fort save or die. Just straight up area, fort save or die. And if they pass, they take 5d6.
So that makes sense.
It's a 9th level spell. It makes sense. But yeah, their 9th level spells are legitimately as nonsensical. Or their 9th level mysteries are as nonsensical as 9th level spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Farsight, 8th level. Let's see. Similar to Greater Scrying with the modification described here. This is, yeah. See True Essence as with Truth Revealed ability. Let's see. Which I certainly put here to remember what Truth Revealed did. Well, let's ignore that for now. But yeah, Flesh Fails and Flesh Fails Greater, which is 4 Strength, 4 Dex, or 2 Con damage, or 6, 6, and 4 respectively. There is no save on this, you just do it. Notably, Flesh Fails Greater also has 1 living creature per level and 20-foot spread, so it's just a fairly decent debuff. You're probably doing the strength damage, honestly. Maybe the dex damage if they're hard to hit. The con is not generally going to equal enough hit points to be worth it, though it does at least scale decently. And granted, Flesh Fails
scales with the health dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, just making Sign lose like 2 dex with no save is not awful. Flicker here, which we actually went over earlier, but is not bad. Wait, let me cover this up for a second. Okay.
Yeah, that's really Flicker.
Yep. Killing Shadows. 30-foot cone does a d8 per level. Will save for half. Fuck you, evasion. You don't do crap. Most things don't.
You're that person with metal.
Yeah, that one guy with metal.
I came here to hunt binders, but instead I found Shadowcaster. I was as shocked as you were, but hey, at least my
Coincidentally, on the other side of the warehouse, I came here to fight Shadowcasters, but instead I found binders. What a cruel irony we live in.
Oh, yes, Langor, which is either a slow spell with an area of effect or hold person to that one guy.
Yep, your
Or
choice.
sorry,
when you
hold
cast it.
monster to that one guy. It's just versatile ability, which is not bad to have. Life fades. Level 1 just straight up does a d6 per level up to 5d6, so not a terrible damage spell. Also, they become fatigued. They get negated. It gets negated on a save, but yeah, damage plus fatigue is not terrible, especially for a level 1 spell slot, especially since it scales as normal, a d6 per level.
It is specifically non-lethal damage. There's a handful of stuff it won't affect, but
Yeah, it drops off one. I mean, it drops off at higher levels, but as far as like a low level ability, it's reasonably decent. You could use it through like probably level like 9 or so before it starts to get obsoleted. Really,
as long as you're not fighting undead or constructs or
yeah. Also, you may have to take it because it's a prerequisite for something else you want. Like if you also want to take Flesh Fails because that's the next one in its line and the third one in its line, which I forget. Because that's how this magic works.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, the greater version, which granted is level 7, but D6. Yeah, your touch deals a D6 points of non-lethal damage per caster level, the maximum of 20d6, causes the subject to become straight up exhausted, or if they save, they're still fatigued. Granted, non-lethal damage, and you're at a high enough level where the targets might be immune to it, but there's still a decent amount. All outsiders can still take non-lethal damage, unless it says otherwise.
I think they forgot something when they made the flavor text for life fades greater. It's your touch deals life damage, except it affects one living creature per level and a 20-foot radius spread.
No, what happens is they copied the actual rules text up here, down here.
It changed the numbers, but didn't pay attention to the fact it's now an AoE.
Yeah,
which
so
also
explains
the save for half of the first one doesn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, because the save negates the fatigue. It doesn't negate anything else on the first one. This one actually does half damage, but yeah. But yeah, it's also
the exhaustion fatigue.
Yeah. Yep. Shadow Time, which is time stop, except it's a D4 plus 4 rounds. So
it's time stop. I put shadow in front of it.
Yep. And I think a longer duration because time stop is shorter duration than that normally. I never remember this. How often are we playing at this high level and we want to abuse time stop is basically what it comes down to. Yeah, time stop's normally a D4 plus 1. Yeah. Yeah, so it is a longer duration time stop. How much you need a longer duration time stop, I have no fucking idea.
A longer duration time stop with what, like eight required spells to get to the way the system works?
Realistically, no, it'd be 2. Because it basically starts over every time you go to a higher level, it will only be the two
required spells. Yeah.
2 required spells and then 2 tangential spells, but those are a wider choice at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the 2 previous ones in Dark Metamorphosis, and then you have to have another level 7 and level 8 effectively.
Yeah.
Let's see. Piercing Sight, see invisibility, and why not you get Dark Vision as well. Decent utility one at least. Reflection of things to come grants you, let's see, knowledge of what's going to occur, granting you several benefits. Uncanny dodge, plus 10 insight bonus to initiative checks, plus 4 insight bonus to armor class. Decent while delving through a dungeon. Unfortunately, this is also level 9. Also, you can discharge as an immediate action to just cause an attack to miss. Or to reroll a save. Honestly, this should be like, I don't know, 3 levels lower, but I think they just over-leveled that one. Shadow Evocation and Greater Shadow Evocation, which are exactly like the spells of that name, except slightly different. They can mimic evocation spell of lower than 5th level rather than... By the way, this text makes no sense. Let me check.
Yeah, they're versions of Shadow Evocation, I'm pretty sure themselves are lower level than the actual Shadow Evocation spells, but also can't do as high level copies. Also, screw you for naming their ability Shadow Evocation, and then saying they're like the spell Shadow Evocation, but not being Shadow Evocation.
Yes. If you're going to name it Shadow Evocation, it needs to be
Just
identical.
be Shadow Evocation.
Yeah.
If you want it to be something different, name it something else. I cast Magic Missile. What does that do? It does 20d6 damage.
Oh, that magic missile that does 20d6 damage.
In a 100-foot radius. It's just a very big magical nuke spell now. You're confused with the other magic missile? I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
I cast Fireball. What does it do? It raises the dead. What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, it lights a fire inside of them, like a ball.
What's the spell Raise Dead do then? Oh, it summons 10 berries that you can eat for 1 health piece.
Oh, that's your Raised Dead? My Raised Dead actually makes bread that didn't fail to properly rise. Raised bread.
Just burn it all down.
Mine improves my credit score.
Like,
raise credit.
That's a forbidden art.
Like, they actually did the correct thing on the same page we have right here. Shadow Time copies Time Stop, but is different and called something else.
Yes. Example of what to do, example of what not to do. I think they're on the same page.
Well, they probably are. They have Shadow in the name.
I can't guarantee you they're on the same page. A lot of things have Shadow in the name when it comes.
Yeah, but they're going to be in the same area because it does. The pages are going to be in alphabetical order, unless they did them by mystery.
Okay, they are on. The mysteries are in alphabetical order, because doing them by mystery would actually make more sense. So of course they didn't do that. It actually make you be able to look at what you're getting from an entire mystery path. Okay, yeah, Shadow Evocation is on the page before Shadow Time. Let's see. Oh yeah, writing out this page. Shadow Fade Greater. It's greater to spell magic. They basically have their own equivalent of just spell magic.
Yeah, but look at that, they changed the name.
Also, they changed the name, even though it's exactly the same.
even though it's exactly the same, they called it something different rather than saying this is the exact same name, but not that ability.
Yeah. Shadow Skin, one of the few immediate actions, and is not actually bad because it scales. Like, it gives you DR for a round, and like that's not bad up to 4. That's pretty good up to 5. And then when they start maybe actually having magical weapons, haha, you need silver.
You need silver.
Yeah. Which. Okay, they're not going to fucking have silver unless the DM has it out for you, really.
No.
You're still a squishy caster, so this is more like helping you survive around than actually like...
Unless you're finding like Gith or something.
Yeah.
About silver.
Let's see,
you've discovered me, but have you brought my weakness? Bismuth! Oh!
Alternatively
here...
Yep. Shadow Storm. This is chain lightning. This is chain lightning, but it's electricity and cold damage.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, here's Shadow's Fade, which is actually the dispel. The greater dispel. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I have another page of this? Yes, I did. There are legitimately a decent amount of these.
Shadows.
Yep, Sharp Shadows. This is the damage shield, basically in these lines. So it's D6 plus caster level up to 15.
Yeah, it's their version of Fire Shield and
yeah, Cold Shield.
Well, the Fire Shield spell that does fire or cold.
Yeah. I think it scales longer. I think that one doesn't have as high a flat.
Those still go to plus 15, I want to say.
Yeah.
But I think they're higher level. But they also give you cold or fire immunity, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I want to say they're 4th level as opposed to 3rd.
Let's see. Summon Umbral Spirit, which is that's actually the beginning of the line that gets Armory Shadows effectively. And yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Umbral Touch, which is another one of those ones that actually lasts for a duration. Granted, it eats up a minute every time you use it, but it is like you have a touch attack that does 5d6. And they must see it a fortitude save or they're slowed.
Okay.
So it's just good. Yeah. Lasts for a minute per level, but you lose a minute every time you do a touch attack. Also takes up a hand. Who cares? Let's see. Truth Revealed. Yeah. functions like True Scene, but also by constant. It's True Scene with all the detect spells thrown onto it because why not? Which I found fairly
hold
amusing.
on. There's an issue of Uncle Touch. How long are they slowed for? Is the duration of the spell that you use every time you try and do a touch?
That's a good question. How long are they slowed for? Right, so they're slowed. We don't give you a duration.
Well, it's like the spell Icicle Spike, but not like that. If that helps.
I would guess as the slowed spell.
Yeah, I'm just gonna guess as the slowed spell.
So like a round per level.
Yeah,
but that needs
That's
to be
the-
defined.
that does need to be defined. Oh yes, the other parts of Truth Reveal. It can also detect your subject's greatest fear, greatest love, or their name. Why this would be useful, I have no idea, but it might be.
Well, I'm a true namer, so learning my subject's name is very important.
No, it isn't, because it's not their true name. It's not their personal true name. That's a
Why,
different thing. And Unveil, let's see. Immediately ends the following adverse conditions: ability damage, blinded, confused, dazed, dazzled, deafened, diseased, exhausted, fatigued, immobilized, insanity, nauseated, sickened, stunned, and poisoned. In addition, negates the effects of the mysteries, mesmerizing shade, shadowhood, and shadow between, none of which were worth listing here, and cancels curses as the spell remove curse would.
Okay, it's a restoration.
Yeah, it's a restoration for everything but hit points, which Arcane doesn't really get anything like that, so it's actually
Arcane doesn't.
Yeah.
Divine does, because
Divine
it's just
absolutely does, but
restoration.
Yeah.
But it's not something Arcane usually gets. That is true.
Yeah. Let's see. Magic items. So, on the bright side, there are meta shadow rods, which
Work like meta magic rods, except
Yeah.
they have shadow in the name.
or don't sometimes.
Hmm.
Meta magic, quicken mystery, meta magic, reach mystery, meta shadow, empower mystery. Well, proofreading issues aside, you get the point. They're meta magic rods, but shadow.
We didn't do the find replace on the right page.
Yep. There's the shadow striking property. Yeah.
That sounds like the joke of, I'm going to do what he did, but I'm going to yell Cobra. This time,
I'm going to say meta shadow.
Yep.
Good work.
pretty much.
Let's see. Special material. Shadow Silk, which lets certain things basically have a better hide and move silently. Increases the dex as well. I think this is actually... this is actually... and lowers armor check penalty. Arcane
Or
spell...
shadow magic, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, Shadow Striking. Yeah, the only issue of Shadow Striking is the +3 property, which is a little bit painful.
Yeah, it does attune to negate damage reduction, but yeah, it is +3.
Yeah. Let's see. Wondrous items, nothing of terrible note other than... okay, nothing really of terrible note, just duplicating some things here and there. Very much just on theme for this section more than anything else. I believe this orb was... oh yeah, this orb is
It's a Pearl of Power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, on to the monsters.
Ooh, a dark Umbral.
Yep. Yeah, another
The
Umbral.
Umbral with the shadow template? Dark template.
Dark template. It is literally the dark template. So yeah, here's the dark template. Move slightly faster, dark vision, hide in plain sight, resistance to cold 10, superior low light vision, +8 to hide, +6 to stealth. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it's a minor template.
Yep.
Let's see. Yep. Shadow Elementals proper, which I actually kind of went over practically everything with them. You're summoning medium Shadow Elementals by default with that one prestige class, but they also gain more hit dice, so that's not quite correct. So, and eventually grow to large size.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as things to summon, they're not bad. Let's see. Shadow organizations. Same as the Binder chapter, really. And also same as the Binder chapter, Shadow Magic Adventure sites. Just, Shadow Magic themed places you can be. And the back of the book again. So, yep, there's Shadow Magic.
It exists.
It exists. That's pretty much what I can say about it, too. Its big problem is it's magic, but slightly different, but not.
It doesn't do enough from standard magic. Like, Pact Magic and True Name Magic are different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shadow Magic is just restricted normal magic.
Yeah. It's less casts than normal magic. It's effects that are very similar to normal magic. In exchange for all of this, it gives you a headache. I'm not fucking sure. That's the actual problem. It's like, you took away stuff, but you didn't really add. And it has a really restricted ability to even select what you want, and a lot of stuff is shoved with stuff you don't care about as much. So, yeah. Like, the scaling uses is kind of interesting, but the default uses are just so low for each of their spells. Or mystery. You get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have powerful enough stuff, and at higher levels they're fine, because they eventually just get enough things that they have actions in combat that don't consist of shoot a crossbow and hold my color spray for the few time, or for the most opportunity, so, or opportune moment. But and their cantrips are slightly more useful, in fairness, at low levels. Like, a 3 times per day 2d4 non-lethal damage is okay damage. It's far better than you'd get damage from a cantrip, but it's still going to drop off fairly quickly after like 2 levels. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Anyone have anything else to say?
Not particularly.
No, as I already said, it's just magic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a good reason why we forget it exists, because it literally just doesn't
really do anything different.
Yep. All right. So now on with doing things far, far different. True Name Magic. The final magic in this book, True Name Magic, is based on the idea of speaking the fundamental language of the universe as a way of altering reality itself. But what you need to say for the effect shifts constantly as everything changes, so just learning the right words to use X on Y once doesn't mean that it will work again if you repeat yourself. What this translates to is a magic based around the skill system using its own new skill, True Speech. And also, because of how the system works, it has its own important terms. Yeah, so let's see. Lexicon are basically these spell lists. There's 3 different spell lists for the True Namer class. We'll go over them later, obviously. So there's true names, which describe like broader categories like halfling or forest or dagger, and personal true names, which is the name of that guy in particular in True Speak. Recitations are basically feats that work kind of like utterances. Utterances themselves are basically the spells within True Name Magic. Utterances do not use spell slots or anything. They are repeatable as many times as you can get away with, and that's going to be the rub. Let's see. And True Namer is the name of the class, the core class of the section, basically. Yeah. Oh, yes, there's also True Name spells, which are spells that also require you to make true speak checks in order to make them work. We'll go over their own later section, so don't worry about it. All right.
I already hate it.
All right. And now with the page where the whole system kicks itself in its own face.
Yeah, impressive.
Yep. So, True Speak is an int-based skill, meaning that you start with basically 4 plus int as your bonus in that. You're going to gain 1 rank per level, and increases to your int bonus increases how much you're going to add to this check. Skill focus feat will add 3. There's a relatively cheap magic item that initially adds 5 and then eventually adds 10. So the base DC for using True Speak is based on the target with yourself and creatures of creatures of your challenge rating being 15 plus 2 times CR or hit dice for players. Thankfully, it uses challenge rating for monsters because this would be even worse.
It could be screwed otherwise.
Yeah, but it uses hit dice for players. So, meaning that the difficulty scales twice as fast as you can put ranks into it. What this works out to in practice requires a handy spreadsheet. So here's a handy spreadsheet.
Yeah, this is already too much for... This is bad.
So the problem really is the scaling of the DC. Because this is basically you make a skill check in order to cast a thing.
Yeah.
The problem is the DC itself varies depending on what you're casting it on, including yourself and what level you are. So this just makes some assumptions based on what wealth you might have and pretending that you're doing reasonable things. So, +2 in magic items going up levels, the Silver Tongue Amulet, which is just the one that adds 5 and 10, so 5 and 8, blah, blah, blah. There's math to it. But yeah, in any case, this comes out to, here's what your total bonus will be if you're doing basically everything you can to increase it as much as possible. And here's what the DCs will be at that level, and DC for just flat challenge rating, so casting on yourself. And if it's a boss, it would be, let's just say challenge rating +4 to make it simple.
Yeah.
And now here's your percentage chance. So at level 1, you have a 75% chance of affecting yourself and a 35% chance of or fodder in a fight. A level 5 thing, you'd have a 35% chance. That's not exactly fair. You wouldn't be facing that at level 1, but you get the point.
Yeah, the above CR doesn't work that much at level 1, but easily does at higher levels.
Yeah, it easily does at higher levels. Let's see. But yeah. And this has a very weird scaling curve, as you can kind of see, because it really drops off at 3 and 4, then bumps way the fuck back up once you can actually buy a Silver Tongue, then drops off a little bit. Then once you get the +10 one, it actually, nearly caps out. Yeah, because this is an unfailable check. Then starts to drop off
and then it
again.
starts driving down again, because you can then only put 1 point in per level, but your DC is going up by 2 every level.
Yeah. Now, you can do more than what I just described, but it requires some actual digging around, power gaming, and usually going into prestige classes. This is basically just being a normal fucking person and just running the class straight.
At this point, just pick a different class.
Yeah. Your problem is really when you're actually trying to affect the boss with any special abilities, and to some extent, okay, just having a chance to fail buffing someone just fucking sucks. I mean,
or yourself.
It's a little bit better on yourself. You effectively have a +2 to affect yourself, I should probably mention. So this is slightly better. Yeah, from levels 8 through 13, you probably won't have an initial chance to fail. I'm also using the word initial here because there's the other things with the system, and we'll go over them as we go over them. But enough of this for now. Let's see. Also, yeah, just even looking at this, the best fix I suggest if you want the system to not be relegated to basically tier 5 play, is to make the DC just 15 plus challenge rating or hit dice. None of the effects that you're going to get off of these spells are going to justify the ridiculous failure rate against NPCs, especially since some of the effects have saves attached to them to just make it an extra tier of fucking needing to get this off. Yes. Also, personal true names and how to find them. Basically, whenever you use an ability on something, you can speak as personal true name. It will make it increases the DC basically that they need to, or the DC of any saves attached to that ability, and I believe the caster level of the ability, if it ever matters, by 2. The caster level for overcoming spell resistance by 2, but it also increases the difficulty of speaking that name by 2. And in order to actually learn a personal true name, it requires research, which is a bunch of knowledge checks. Basically, only something you will do. Let me check my notes. Never. It's something you'll only ever do. Never. So, here's a section for it. All right, True Namer, the actual class, and the core class of the Speak Stuff Magics. Its main feature is learning utterances, which are spells, from the 3 lexicons, which are spell lists. The DCs for your utterances are 10 plus half your true name or level plus charisma for some reason, because this class needed another kick in the teeth, I guess. It's an int-based skill. So besides that, we'll talk about utterances in their own section, but as for what else you get, you know your own personal true name, which gives you a net +2 effect to affect yourself with utterances. Basically, it increases the DC by 2, but you get a +4, so yeah. You also get +3 to 4 different knowledge skills, a bonus feat that helps you research personal true names, 2 bonus recitation feats, which are sort of utterances as well, but as feats, and we'll talk about them later. A once per day 1-round scry against a creature you know the personal true name of with no save, but you have to make the true name check. Which is not as bad as it sounds, because you can just keep trying to make that check. If you're out of combat, you can just keep fucking rolling dice. Who the hell cares? A 3-round per day sending if you make a true speak check. Again, if you're out of combat, you can just keep rolling, so who the fuck cares? Speak Into the Masses, which lets you make your utterances affect multiple creatures of the same type in an area at the cost of the DC becoming the highest DC for anything there, +2 per extra target. And a capstone of Say My Name and I Am There, which lets you teach people a few syllables that lets them summon you from anywhere, if you're willing. They don't need a true speak check or anything. You just fucking make up a bit of gibberish, and you can automatically be summoned whenever someone says it. It is actually the most legitimately silly ability they have, and it actually functions for fucking once. So, if it wasn't for the fundamental flaw of how hard and unreliable true speak is, this class would be fine and even a fun thing to play, as it's a utility style jack of all trades sort of thing. It's akin to a bard, really. But the fact that they eat at their own action economy with their main feature requiring a skill check that needs power game to stay in the realm of reasonable is the largest problem here, and not one easily fixed without massive DM fiat. And I'm not entirely sure what to recommend to fix it without doing a larger examination of the numbers coming, which I already did. I wrote this before I did the spreadsheet, I think. But yeah, it's like, you can't just reduce it to just flat challenge rating / hit dice instead of double. I would say this system would probably come out fine. Let's see. Prestige classes, but before we begin this section, I will state that there is a feat that just grants you True Speak as a class skill, so you do not have to multi-class into True Namer to take these classes. Because they all are going to have a massive amount of ranks in True Speak to actually get into them. So,
Forgot about the law of resistance.
Yeah, there's a law of resistance. We'll get to that when we get to it, which I think is now. So, Acolyte of the Ego is an open class all about saying your own name. You start by learning your own personal true name and then get your main class feature, Morphic Cadence, a list of scaling abilities that you get one every even level, and you can activate by saying your personal true name, which is a true speak check against your self DC. We already went over this. Each success increases the DC of the cadence by 2 because of the law of resistance. This is going to be a recurring theme, and this is basically how it keeps your utterances from becoming basically of infinite use. The DC slowly scales up by 2. Which would be fine if it wasn't already set to crazy town stupid high. So these are, but yeah, these abilities are standard action spell-like abilities, so they would provoke attacks of opportunity. What they do proper is, let's see, teleport 100 feet per Morphic Cadence, or half your class level if you prefer, because it's the same fucking thing. Spell resistance of 5 plus 2 times your Morphic Cadence. Force a target to make a will save or frightened with a DC of 10 plus class level plus charisma plus Morphic Cadence, so 1.5 times your class level. DR of 2 times Morphic Cadence for magic. Fortification 20% times your Morphic Cadence, you get 100% at level 10. Fast healing Morphic Cadence for, I believe, class level rounds. Morphic Cadence to Strength, Morphic Cadence to Dex, Morphic Cadence to Con, plus Morphic Cadence to Saves. Again, just substitute half your class level every time I say Morphic Cadence. Disguise Self, A 20-foot cone of 2d6 times Morphic Cadence with a reflex save of 10, class level con Morphic Cadence. You can also increase the DC by 5 to increase your caster level by 3, or you can activate multiple at the same time by increasing the DC by 5 per additional Morphic Cadence. And you can also make your, you also make your own true name hard to say by others, and you get a free recitation feat. Just because, I guess. This class is, since everything is against your own DC and the scaling issues aren't as bad as usual, but the effects aren't great either unless you activate multiple at once, which is an ask. The difficulty with the difficulty increases of, what was this? 5 per extra ability you want to activate. This class is just kind of meh. Yeah.
If the True Name or Prestige class, it's gonna be bad.
There's actually a couple exceptions, which actually surprised me, but we're not getting to them yet, unfortunately. Birthed a True Speak class that slowly learns parts of the Word of Unmaking. It gets a hard to say personal true name. The syllables of Unmaking that are spell-like abilities that require a True Speak check to target DC, etc., increases by 2 per successful use. They do -2 to D20 rolls, will save or lose a sense, which will probably be sight. Mace for 1 round. They can try to get out of it as a swift action, but it's not bad CC. 86 damage. And a capstone of telling a dead person to stay dead at the cost of minor XP. So even if I pretend for a minute that the system is functional, the effects here are just meh. So moving on. Oh yeah, you also have to pay money to get in this class. Okay, Brimstone Speaker, a Divine Prestige class that gives up 4 levels of casting to, Tongue of Fire, a supernatural ability that uses a flat DC True Speak check of 20 to do a 20-foot line of damage. It starts at 3d6 for a DC of 20, 5d6 for 30, 8d6 for 35, with each use beyond the first scaling by 2, as that usually does. 3 different spell-like abilities that use fixed DC to summon a celestial per summon monster, with the most powerful one being able to summon an astral deva, which is higher than the challenge rate of anything you get off Summon Monster 9, and the same DC scaling of 2 per successful. You can only have 1 of these out at a time, and you have a limit of 1 per class level per day. Why the fuck did they go with this mechanic for true naming instead of the scaling DC nonsense that doesn't work well and needs a lot of duct tape to partially function? This class upsets me because it shows they had a better idea of how to make this system work and instead went with the crappier idea. Also, it's good in the same fun way, strangely enough, as the summoning is a legit good, and you can actually get something worth the loss of your levels here. I was legitimately surprised this lost 4 levels. I was actually like, oh no, I'd actually play this. Mostly because like an Astral Day was actually challenge rating 14. You get like 9s and 10s off of some Monster 9. It is a high level when you can do that, but it's kind of the same thing with all their summoning on here. They weren't bad things to summon per se. Granted, it is a very specific thing at each level, but yeah. Also, it's a standard action summon, which also helps. And you know you're going to be able to do it. Pretty well, at least. Because, here's the fucking DC. We don't have to play footsie with the freaking system in order to make it function. And occasionally you can spit fire, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. Disciple of the Word. Disciple of the Word. A monk talking class. So, you know your own personal true name. You scale Monk AC, unarmed damage, unarmed speed, flurry of blows, and stunning fist uses, but not flurry of blows or other special abilities, even if you don't have levels in Monk, because you made a strange build somehow. This is really hard to get into without levels of Monk. Also, you may have noticed it scales flurry of blows, but not flurry of blows. I was able to find the errata on this. It just scales flurry of blows, but they somehow listed in the stuff it doesn't scale, in addition to listing in the stuff that does scale. Basically, it scales every fucking monk feature, by the way, so this is already...
Paradoxically, both does and doesn't scale.
Yes. So, in any case, you also get, a switch action use of switch action and a use of Stunning Fist. This I'm going to repeat myself a lot with this part. To use True Speak for a balance jump or tumble. Let's see. Immediate action, Stunning Fist use. To use True Speak to resist, trip, bull rush, or disarm. Let's see. Full round spell-like that also uses a Stunning Fist attempt. And a True Speak check to heal yourself, character level HP. Let's see. A swift action and Stunning Fist use to increase your speed by 20 feet and let you walk on everything for 1 round. Immediate action and Stunning Fist. You get the point. Everything fucking uses a Stunning Fist use. Use True Speak for a reflex save, switch action, etc. Overcome DR with a True Speak check on a fixed DC, depending on what DR you're trying to overcome. Rather than it. Even the fucking monk class did this better. What the fuck? Same thing to dispel on a punch using a True Speak check. That one uses normal rules. Once per day, immediate action, etc. To use to parry a weapon attack with a True Speak check. Same thing to counter a spell targeting you with a True Speak check. And a capstone that lets you take out of turn move as etc. Immediate action, Stunning Fist check. And a DC 50 True Speak check, which is legitimately hard, but you might be able to finagle that. So on the monk grading curve, I almost like this class, but for 2 things. True Speak is an int skill, so that's just that extra bit of mad.
Even more mad.
And all the extra Stunning Fish and Minor action uses drives me insane with the unneeded extra restrictions that you don't need to have here. You could take away both the granted, they're all like swift and immediate actions with a few exceptions, but if you took all the swift and immediate actions off of this stuff and the Stunning Fist uses off this stuff, it would still be fine.
No, Monk's too powerful. You don't understand. Monk, well known as being overpowered class, needs to be toned down for these classes.
How sad is this? This is probably still better than just taking straight levels in Monk.
It's better than taking straight levels of Monk. Monk's not good.
So let's bring to mind a number of people doing athletics and tumble checks and things while screaming, "Surfing bird! Surfing bird! Surfing bird!" Because everybody knows the word is the word.
So that's how that actually works. Wait, no, it doesn't. Alright. Fiendbinder. A caster class that binds fiends, which is its main shtick and is done by performing a ritual, paying a bunch of money, and succeeding at a True Speak check with a fixed DC, at which point you have an unhappy follower who can't attack you and takes a standard action and another True Speak check to command. You can bind as many as you can afford to, but all commands only work on 1 at a time. Also, they hate you. Also, stuff I didn't list in my notes but found funny, if they die, they're just dead. Unlike normal rules for if anything you summon or call, or if any fiend dies on the material plane, they just go back to their normal plane. If a Fiendbinder binds them to himself, no, they're just dead if they die. If the Fiendbinder dies, the fiend actually takes the soul back to whatever horrible place they came from. Let's see. You can also, once per day, call a loyal fiend with a true name check using the usual DC with penalties if it dies. You have the ability to swift action buff yourself to survive past minus 10 HP for approximately 3 rounds. A once per day, ask an archfiend to give you either demon or devil flavored defenses and dark vision. The ability to command 2 of your bound fiends at once at the cost of +5 on the DC of that check. And a once per day summon of demons or devils. The summon monster spell is just over there. You use that instead. Seriously, the cost to bind fiends is way too much to use these as disposable minions, and while I could dismiss this as a template disguised as a class, it really isn't. If you want an NPC that has fiend minions to command, I can just do that. That's not even DM fiat. That's just encounter building. This class feels inferior and way more involved than just spamming summon monster. But I guess you can have a...
Except to get a Marlith?
Yeah, it does have higher level stuff. I'll give you that. You can get a Marlith. That's a DC 49 check to command that Marlith, but you can get a Marlith. And you have to be 10 in this class. Because it does have class level restrictions. Which itself is... let's see, 10... Also need summon monster 4, but yeah. Okay, so you can't get... Yeah, 18, you can get a Marlith. Oh yeah, it definitely has stuff that is higher. but you're also jumping through hoops.
Yeah.
Let's see. Demons for a second. I am curious. Yeah, Marlith is like challenge range 17. It is legitimately a powerful thing to summon. Assuming you can make these true speak checks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it more. It's like also like you have to make a check every time you ask it to do any of the commands.
Yeah.
So it's actually fucking terrible.
Yeah. You have like one of the worst bodyguards in existence.
You have an incredibly powerful bodyguard that ignores you
Yeah.
constantly.
I think the general idea is if you're summoning anything, you're going to reliably make the true speak check. You have rigged the game, basically. But, yeah.
One would hope.
Alright. On to feats. And feats that are worth caring about, which are not terribly much in this section. That's... let's see. So, yeah, True Name Training, that's the one I talked about earlier. You just straight up has True Speak as a class skill for all your classes. Let's see. In addition, there's feats just to gain utterances. Lexicon of the Evolving Mind is their standard fare ones, basically. But they can also get from Crafted Tool and Perfected Map, which are in their own way actually kind of more interesting. Let's see. Other than that, there's also Metamagic feats, which are usable in a limited amount of time. Obviously, there's no spell levels here, so it doesn't just spell levels. Instead, it just increases DCs. Yep. So they're fucking unusable. But,
And also remember that every time you use any True Name thing, it also increases the DC by 2.
Yep, as a matter of fact, let's go over all that oh, wait, yeah, sorry. Recitations first. So yeah, recitations are basically like utterances, so it's a full round action to use these, their DCs go up, etc. And let's see, I think 2 of these were good. Recitation of the Sanguine Mind, which is basically neutralize poison on yourself, and Recitation of Vital State, which is remove disease. So yeah, you get rid of poisons and diseases on yourself. Other than that, confidence bonus equal 1/3 of your level on a check. Action that's not worth it. Action that's not worth it. Yep.
I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves.
Yep.
Everybody's nerves.
That's a bar. If there's a True Name, we're doing that. It'd be like Zeeg Zorb the bar. Deep Dobby gear.
Yes, their role-playing recommendations is literally talking gibberish.
Oh my god. I didn't even notice that they had that gibberish as a
Yeah, it's
quote.
all gibberish.
Yeah, it is all
That
gibberish.
Like, no, I understood that, but the fact that they put a quote for it. Good God, people.
Yep.
Ba weep, grana weep, ninny bomb.
It's not gibberish, that's the universal greeting.
It can be both.
Hey, they didn't reciprocate.
Yeah. So.
That's just because they're rude.
Yep. So back to utterances, because they were on this page. So yeah, we've gone over DCs for speaking utterances at things. There are a couple of notable exceptions, which we'll go over later, but also, this is a spell-like ability, so it normally provokes attacks of opportunity. You can't earn it defensively by accepting a -5 penalty on your true speak check, because fuck you. Also, spell resistance applies. Because again, fuck you. On the bright side, spell penetration and greater spell penetration do work with utterances at least, so there's that.
It's just make a very high level skill check to be able to do the thing, and then your target still typically will get a save or have spell resistance or anything else that can defend against it, and then you're also increasing your DC by 2 for any future checks.
Yeah. The DC for future checks makes sense. There has to be some limitations on the amount of times you can use it a day, so I get that one a little bit. The problem is that everything else they did to nerf it just comes out to like, oh my god, why are you still beating that? It's already dead.
I mean, does the DC really need to increase by 2 if I want to grant an ally a +1 AC?
Not per se, but I get it for
standard action.
No, but I get it for other abilities especially once we get to the higher level ones, the idea of at least putting some type of limits on the spell casting. There's at least some vague handling thing here. I'm not entirely sure if it needs it, but at least I get the base idea. Everything else,
75% chance I have to put.
Yeah, that's the other issue. Is like the DC was set to. Yeah, so again, what they should have actually done was the same thing they did with their own prestige classes, or various abilities in their own prestige classes, just set a flat DC for each fucking utterance. That would have just solved this entire
and then
system.
Plus 2, it'd still be fine. Still gets more difficult, but...
It makes the meta magic make more sense as well, because, I can just...
Using a first-level utterance isn't the exact same difficulty as using a sixth-level utterance.
Yeah. Let's see. Other little things, Universe keeps track of you, even if your polymorph, your true name is the same, so don't worry about it. Target, all utterances target a single creature or object, with the exception of perfected map. Yeah, target doesn't need to hear the true name you're saying. The universe listens just fine. In addition, you could say true speech in a zone of silence. It works perfectly fine. You're going to have you basically have a 20% spell failure chance, the same as any spellcaster will have, because you can't actually hear the words you're pronouncing, so you're not sure if you're saying them right. But it still works, because you're talking to the universe, which, okay, at least as a bone you threw them there, I guess.
Oh no, I've said the word squamulo instead of the word squamulo, and now the bard's anus has turned inside out. Just completely inverted.
Yep. Let's see. Range, unless it says otherwise, is 60 feet. Duration is short. Duration does not actually scale with true number level. It is almost always 5 or less. But we'll get to that when we get to the specific ones. Effective spell level. Let's see. Yeah, it is the effective level of the utterance. You can increase the spell level of an utterance by increasing the DC of the check by 4.
Yep.
Because reasons. But yeah, the laws. As we said, law of resistance. Every time you successfully use it, at the very fucking least, the DC increases by 2. Law of sequence. If you speak an utterance with an ongoing duration, you can't speak it again until it ends. You can only have one of the same thing going at the same time, basically. There is counter speaking and dispelling as normal for magic, really. Or counter speaking is you can try and stop other people true speaking. Okay, so moving on, because that will never fucking happen. Alright, so on to the lexicons. Starting with the Lexicon of the Evolving Mind, which is their primary one. They get one of these every level, so they eventually end up with 20 of them. And it scales up as they go up in level, what levels they can have of it. Basically, yeah. It's akin to Bard, basically, spellcasting as it levels up, with the 6 ones being 18 plus. There we go. Alright. So, ideas of effects. So, here's Archer's Eye. So, Lexicon of the Evolving Mind has both saying it normal and saying it in reverse, which means it will have its normal effect and an inverted effect, depending on what it is. Generally, it is like, here's a buff and here's a debuff is the kind of default, but sometimes it's a little bit special in one way or another. So, Archer's Eye here, for example, the target's range attacks ignore concealment, or duplicates protection from arrows, which is not terrible for something that's the second level, honestly. Breath of Recovery right here. Let's see. Normal dispels the laundry list of conditions, basically. Reverse must make a fortitude save, or they're paralyzed for 1 round, but it's still paralyzed. Because again, they attach saves to these things as well. Hidden Truth, so either plus 10 bonus on a knowledge check, or plus 10 bonus on bluff for a round. Let's see, Eldritch Attraction, which is a funny one, because, while it is will negates for this, it is move something up to 40 feet towards you, or move something up to 40 feet away from you in a straight line. DC increases by size as well, because of course it does, why not? Let's see, energy negation greater, so immunity to energy, or every time they hit the target, they take 20 damage of an energy type. Straight 20 damage shield. Yep.
It's 5th level, so that makes
It
sense.
is 5th level, so it is a bit high, but yeah. Incarnation of Angels. So forward is Celestial Template, reverse is Fiendish Template.
What?
Let's see. Inertial Surge. First level, act normally regardless of magical effects, then impede movement as if under freedom of movement. Is not full of freedom of movement, just against magical effects, but that's still nice. Let's see. Or alternatively, it's immobilized, except we forgot to... we invented the condition in the previous chapter, so we just explained it. Yeah. Let's see. Nice punch is greater. So forward is 5-round buff that is +4 bonus to attack and damage rolls. Mine is the level 6, so you're 18 when you're... Yeah. Reverse is -5 on an attack and damage rolls. There's no save on this one. Thank freaking Christ. Because occasionally they remember they can just do that. DC is already kind of painful.
Yeah, +5 attack and damage, -5 attack and damage. Not a bad ability, actually.
No. Only takes you to 18. Let's see. Magic Contraction, Spell Resistance, 11 plus True Namer level. Other way around. Oh yeah, this one was just legit good. The other side is, yeah, that guy gets a power spell for 5 rounds on all of his spells. With no increase in spell level or cast time. Yeah, that's actually cute. And this is where we run into, like, sometimes they actually give them interesting abilities that are legitimately like, oh, here's a niche buff that would be really good for this specific class that they aren't. That's actually neat. That's the stuff I want from a class that is dedicated to buffing and debuffing. Yeah, which you also kind of see with Knight's Bustians. It's just so high level that you don't fucking... Yeah, and the low level version of it was more shit.
Similar to Mystic Rampart, also being level 6.
Yes. Mystic Rampart also being level 6, which is flat DR plus 5 bonus to saves, or, let's see, -5 penalty to AC and saves. Again, no save on this.
Yep.
Seek the Sky, 3 rounds, fly as a spell, or this guy starts falling, or Seek the Sky Greater, which is much funnier, which is a really good fly ability, 120 feet with perfect maneuverability, or they just fall straight to the fucking ground and take fall damage.
Eat the fucking earth.
Yep. Take that, dragon, assuming I overcome your spell resistance. Again, no save, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I fail, you know.
And I fail.
Okay. Anyway.
No, less. This is a dragon. They're undercons. Because a dragon is an undercon, for once their challenge rate is working against them.
That's fair.
Let's see. Sensory Focus, which is, let's see, Blind Sight and True Sight. There's differences between the two, but for the life of me, I can't remember what they are. Or reversed, yeah, your target is both blind and deafened. Definitely really matters for spell casting. Yep, haste and slow, let's see. Which is only 3rd level, so that's not terrible, actually.
Yeah.
Rebirth is, let's see. Oh yeah, restore an effect that has been dispelled or dismissed last round, or the reverse, which is a dispel. Sorry, dispel is the highest is a straight dispel of 1 spell. There's no caster level check, there's no anything, it is just gone. Dispel magic does not work this simply, usually, so it's actually interesting in that respect.
So you use universal aptitude on yourself to increase your spell check by 5.
Yeah, strangely enough, universal aptitude. So you start combat by giving yourself a +5 bonus on skill checks, so you can actually fucking play your own class for about 5 turns. Yeah. Yep. Or the reverse, which I guess you can use it.
You're never using the other one. You're
never using the reverse. Oh yeah, I should note. If you say it forward or reverse, it still counts towards the law of resistance, so it's still going to increase the DC by 2 regardless of what you do in future with it. Let's see. Temporal Spiral, which was, let's see. Incredibly oh, right. This is give someone a move action. Yeah, this gives someone a move action right now. Or the reverse, which was more interesting, which is a 3-round daze.
I mean, 3-round daze is good.
Yeah, it is a will save. That's the only, like, line there. Now, mind you, the DCs at least scale with your class level. So it is half your class level, so it is easier for them to hit things. And the Word of Nurturing line, which there's 6 of them. I didn't want to put all 6 of them, but it's like, yeah, they go 1 through 6. They're all basically the same idea. It's fast healing for 5 rounds. For the level 6 ones, 20 rounds. Or deal a bunch of damage. On the reverse is deal a bunch of damage, and then you can concentrate around later to deal the same amount of damage again. There's no save on the damage. They aren't terrible. They're not amazing, but they're not terrible. It's good utility that kind of goes both for healing and damage, but again, would work better if the system actually functioned, but the broken parts of the system are the broken parts of the system.
Yeah.
All right. Now Lexicon of the Crafted Tool. These utterances don't have reverses, so they just do what they do. Notably, they target objects. The DCs for objects are a bit different. For magic objects, it's 15 plus 2 times the item's caster level. For a non-magic item, it is just a flat DC of 25. Okay, these are a lot more doable, and while I did make fun of the metamagic feats, if you technically wanted to use Quicken with this, it's still fucking hard because the DC 45, but at a certain point, that is actually something you can do. Yeah. Also, if you fail to use Quicken with one of these, it's almost a who cares. Because, okay, I failed. I guess I'll try again next round. I just use a swift action. Who cares? But yeah. Agitate metal, which is either chill or heat metal, which again, not terrible. Basically, will make them drop their weapon last 7 rounds. Analyze item. Which is find a thing. Or no, this is basically the detect magic, etc. Or not detect magic. God, I'm trying to remember the name of the one. That spell that identify is basically
identify. Is that spell that identify stuff?
Yes. So, rebuild item. Something that was destroyed last round, you can just return to its undamaged state. So if you're fighting the fucking asshole villain who likes to sunder, you can just unfuck things.
Technically, it also works against like a rust monster. So if you fight a rust monster, you can just turn stuff back into filled materials again.
Yeah.
Provided you do it within a round.
Yeah. Notably, if it is actually a magic item that you're storing, it actually will come back as a magic item, unlike what would normally happen with like make a whole spell.
Yeah.
And seize item, you grab that thing. If you're trying to grab it from someone else, it's a bit more complicated, but if it's unattended, you can just grab it. So yeah, they're not amazing, but they're not bad. And again, they're likely to have DCs that are not fucking astronomical, especially if you're using a non-magical object.
Yeah, because they are fixed.
Yeah. And now the Lexicon of the Perfected Map, which are used on areas. And their difficulty is... I have no idea. I actually just don't fucking know what their difficulty is.
Was it not the very start of the book when it talked about all the DCs?
That is a good question. Let us go.
There was the initial DC breakdown earlier on in the.
There absolutely was the initial breakdown. I do not remember seeing it there, but let me double check it just to make sure. Let's see. Speak a creature's true name out loud is this formula. Speak object's true name out loud is this formula. To speak a non-magical object's true name out loud is DC 25. So, furthermore, now, my guess would have been, if it's an area, so it's an object. So it's just going to use the object DC, which would, make these good. Except in targeting, it says, with the exception of utterances that use the Lexicon of the Perfected Map, all utterances target a single creature or object. So yeah, the DC for this is who the fuck knows, as a base DC. I'm just going to go with 25, because that's the DC for a fucking object, and would not drive me insane. Also, by the way, you start with access to level 1s, you get level 2s at 12, level 3s at 16, and you get one level 4 at 20. So, you don't get very many of these anyways. But yeah, somebody forgot to write a DC for these. Oh wait, I have a errata. Let me check this.
It looks like there's a errata in Tome of or there is a errata for Tome of Magic. that has perfected map DCs, according to what I'm looking here online. I haven't seen someone say what the actual DC is, but it said check the errata for perfect map DCs.
Okay, here it is. To speak the area's true name using the lexicon perfected map, you must succeed in a true speak check with a DC equal to 25 plus 5 per level of the utterance. If the area is magical location, increase it by 5. Okay, that's not actually bad. Yeah, so it's going to be 30 for base.
Although I think perfected map only goes up to a max level 4, so
it does go
worse
up
is
to a
going to
max
be
level
45.
4. Yeah, worse is going to be 45. And that's at level 20 where you're going to have well over 45. Yeah, okay, so these are fairly usable. Yeah, okay. But yeah, conjunctive gate here, which regardless of DC is one of those ones that's regardless of DC because it's just a gate spell anyways. You're using this for travel, you're not doing anything else with it. Fog from the Void, which is initially it's a fog cloud, but if you can beat the DC by 10, and this only has a 30 DC anyways to begin with, so that'd be a 40 technically. It does straight up solid fog, which is a tar pit because things can all progress through it at like a speed of 5.
5-foot speed, penalty on melee attacks. I think it stops range attacks.
Yeah. Yeah, vapors prevent effective range attacks except for magic rays and the like. Yeah, a creature or object falls into solid fog is slowed, so that each 10 feet of vapor that passes through reduces fall damage, etc., etc. But yeah, it's just summon a tar pit. Let's see. Deny Passage, which is also just fucking amusing. Granted, 20. These are 20. Conjunctive Gate and Deny Passage are both 20, and you're only getting one of these.
I mean, Gate is a 9th level spell, so Conjunctive Gate being 45 makes sense.
Yes.
And Deny Passage is funny.
Oh yeah, Deny Passage is absolutely funny because, yeah, you can't get close to me, or alternatively, if you're in this thing, you can't leave. There's no save on this.
Yep.
Let's see. Thwart the Traveler, it's dimensional lock, so yeah. And again, the DCs on this aren't overwhelmingly hard, so you can actually keep people from... It basically keeps people from teleporting into or out of the area.
Yep.
And Speak Rock to Mud, that does exactly what it says. It's Transmute Rock to Mud, which, yeah. Level 12 with a probably good amount of uses before the DC starts to become hard. So, yeah.
Starts at 35.
Oh. Yep. Also, true name spells exist. There is a lot more than I listed, but most of them suck because they require you to fucking be able to pass a true name check. Here's an example here, for example. Here's an example one. So, Bulwark of Reality. So it's basically +6 mage armor. Except you also have to be able to speak your own personal true name. So it's a +6 mage armor that will fail a good portion of the time. Let's see. Similarly, true pair of the chosen here, +3 insight bonus on saving throws armor class. Which is not a bad bonus. It's actually doable by paladin as well. But
That's
still has that clause of say your own personal true name. Yep. Let's see. The magic item section, which entirely consists of the Amulet of the Silver Tongue, which is fucking stapled to your character, basically. Because God, does this class not work without this and a bunch of other stuff? There's also a couple of artifacts, they're books, they do things. Okay, on to the monster section. New Archon, which is the Word Archon. They can speak utterances. They're not good at it, but they can speak utterances. I mean, they're okay, but they're going to have the same thing. Also, the Logocron demon, the demon with a long ass tongue. Similarly, can speak utterances.
Yeah.
Garbler. I'm pretty sure the Mouthing Gibbler wasn't already printed in a previous book that would be in here, but
it's a Sphinx that can speak true names.
Yep, speaks true names.
Think of Pat monster section.
Yeah. Okay. That monster section. And finally, true name organizations, same as the previous two, and true name magic sites. Yep, and yeah, that's this book. We have finished with the Tome of Magic. So, true naming. This is neat. This is interesting. I really wish you made it function. You fundamentally...
Unlike shadow magic, which is boring because it's just regular magic, True Name tries to do something unique and just fails utterly.
Yeah.
Which is why you actually remember True Name exists as opposed to shadow magic. But you also remember it as a failure.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas shadow magic is a boring failure. This is a boring... Yeah, mostly failure. It functions, but it's a failure. True Name doesn't function, but is interesting. It makes you want to go to the effort to fix it, but it's at the same time, it's a mess.
It lives in a similar area that like Magic of Incarnate does, where it's like you had a really good idea, you just executed it incredibly poorly.
Yeah.
Except even worse than Magic of Incarnate, honestly. As far as the poor execution.
Yeah, because Magic Incarnate's the poor execution is entirely one class, and the rest of the book is fine. Basically, it's a little finicky, but it's fine. You can use it. True Name they just built the rule, or True Name they just built the rules wrong. That's really the extent of it.
Yeah, like they had an idea, and then they just completely dropped the ball.
Yeah. But yeah. Hunter, Krampus, do you have anything else to say on that or this book for that matter?
Sorry, I stepped away for a second. So, True Namer has been infamous for a very long time, for as long as I've been playing role-playing games. It's a fun concept, and I can see why they tried to take a crack at it, but unfortunately, the guy responsible for writing the rules did come in with a mild concussion.
Yeah.
Everybody didn't want to say anything, so they just accepted whatever he put on the paper, even if it was just random gibberish. Good. I think we're not the people to do it necessarily, but there is fertile enough ground in the concept where if someone wanted to do like a fan interpretation in 5th edition, you could wrangle something fun out of it. But as it stands right now, and when it first came out in 3.5, it was one of those things that you wanted to read just so you realized that, no, you read that correctly. This is just bad.
Yeah, for 5th edition, I'd probably do a class inspired by True Namer rather than actual True Namer proper. Yeah. Where I'd probably like cast spells using various skills or something like that. And probably have the skill checks do something else rather than actually be how you cast the spell proper or something. I would have to think on it a bit, but there is some concept there. Because I do like both the flavor of it of I am speaking unto the universe and it is doing things, and I am weaponizing my skill check, motherfucker. But from the mechanical side of it.
Combat mime.
Yep.
You mime doing something so good, you actually do it.
But yeah, and this book in general I do quite like, but granted, this book is almost entirely carried by the pack magic section, if I'm being completely honest. But True Namer is at least worth the glance over in order to like, wow, this almost works.
This could have been something.
Yeah. It's even worse once you get to the back half where they start describing utterances and you're like, oh, if this was all garbage, I would have dismissed this out of hand, but these effects aren't actually bad. I actually see what you're going for here. You just fuck the math up royal. On the math edition, which is the extra hard part of it. Ugh.
Yeah, like there's not an inherent problem with having the variant magic systems built around skill checks, but they need to scale properly.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't have them effectively function like it needs to be more than a one it technically needs to be more than like a 1 per CR scale for it to actually work, because you do have access to magic items and stuff that can increase your scale faster than like a 1-to-1.
Yeah, probably. I would still contend
But
that
2-to-1 seems a bit too much.
yeah, it probably
And
needs to be somewhere
if they
halfway
did more
between.
fixed DCs,
1/2 maybe. I also see that even if you do that, I don't know if the class I don't know if the class is actually powerful enough if you just assume it automatically passes all of its checks to really push the boundaries. That's the other thing. Like the abilities are
that is
good,
the other thing of
but yeah.
the abilities are good, but it's like if what you're doing each turn is hasting one person for 3 rounds,
Yeah.
a
And
regular haste spell hastes an entire party.
yeah. For longer than 3 rounds.
Similar effects like that. Like
Yeah.
there are some you probably need to rein in just being able to daze an enemy for 3 rounds with no save. Actually, that
No,
one has
yeah,
save on.
yeah, that's the same one.
But to just be able to daze an enemy for 3 rounds every single round probably needs to be reined in.
Yeah.
But
well, technically, once it affects one thing, you can't use it again.
You can't use it while it's active. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, then use the paralysis one, because that lasts 1 round.
1 round.
So just do that every single round.
Yeah.
Just to paralyze something every single round. You probably need to hold that back a bit, because otherwise that's a little crazy. But for the most part, since all of the stuff is single target,
yeah.
I like the idea of a buffing, debuffing focused class that isn't just I'm going to throw fireballs and especially more on the buffing side. There's not a lot of classes that really specialize solely in buffing.
So about that, one of those laundry lists of class features in True Namer that I kind of went over, because
there is one that lets you do multiple people.
Yeah, it lets you do multiple people. It increases the DC by 2 per person. So that's probably the place where it would actually break if the DCs were too low, because your AOE.
But then you can't just make every single buff affect everyone.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool to have a class that can throw DR5 and +5 to saves on your entire party.
Yeah.
Have some if that's a big capstone ability, that'd be great. They don't need to be able to do it every single combat every 5 rounds. That would need to be reined in somewhat, but having that be a thing they can do a couple times a day or once per day or twice per day or whatever. I could see for was mentioned bringing this into something like 5th edition, grabbing a lot of those individual buffs or debuffs they had and making them a once per long rest ability or once per short rest ability. You can do X as a buff and have it focused on kind of buffing the party and not and debuffing enemies and not necessarily doing damage. But there would need to be some work there to make it all function properly.
Yeah. The thing that doesn't.
The concept is interesting enough in True Namer, which is why you actually remember that it exists. It's just it's a hard thing to balance, I think, in general.
Absolutely, because especially since they're trying to balance it around. So ironically,
around skill checks,
not just around skill checks, around the skill check of one skill. The best way of balancing skill checks is kind of the way the Archivist did it, where it's in order to use this on enemies, it's a knowledge check, but which knowledge check depends on what type of enemy. If they actually balanced it, if they actually used knowledge instead of making up true speak, this class might actually work a bit better. Where you're literally where it is literally a knowledge nature check in order to figure out how to speak the name of, or true speak
to do
an
animal
or stuff like that.
Planes to do outsiders, so you need multiple skills to be able to do everything. And then you could have okay, I'm going to focus on planes so I can make sure I can affect outsiders with my highest level stuff, but then I need to I have fewer points to put into, say, knowledge nature to affect animals. So I can still affect animals, I just have to use the lower level stuff on them. So I won't be able to hit the higher DCs.
Now, granted, for all of your buffing, you're basically going to have knowledge. You're going to have knowledge local, and you're probably going to buff that one into the sky. But that's fine. But the buffing was fine.
Yeah, it's just in that case you then end up with a weird thing where it's you now have a character who basically doesn't have skills outside of the thin window that is required to make his class work.
Yeah.
So you are extra useless outside of combat if things don't hit your very specific niche.
Yeah. There are utility spells there, or utterances, you get the point. There, but yeah. Ugh.
And tying it to skill still inherently has an issue of if you are able to power game a skill enough, the DCs don't matter. And if you're not able to power game a skill enough, the DCs cripple you.
Yeah. And trying to actually make it hit a middle ground is quite literally impossible, and that's actually the biggest issue of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to get this is the perfect sweet spot because you want the class's abilities to work.
Yeah.
But if you make the DCs low enough that they always work, then why do you even have a bother doing skill checks to begin with?
Yeah. Also, mind you, True Namer, I can guarantee you if I was for some reason forced to run True Namer, I will always do a level 11 one level class dip into a prestige class. Because Exemplar is a prestige class, which gives you +4 to a skill and skill mastery for a number of skills. So you can take a 10 on these checks, and you have an extra +4, which ridiculously changes the math.
Yeah.
And is easily worth the loss of one utterance scene level. This does not flow off the tongue. But yeah, there are fixes. If you're going to mine through all of 3.5 to try and find the stuff to fix it, but I shouldn't need to do that to play a class.
Play base class, yeah.
Yeah. Or a prestige class, really, but yeah, I shouldn't need to do that to play
to use a what is, since it's part of the base class, a base mechanic effectively.
Yeah.
You should not need system mastery for anything that is a base class.
No. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, I still quite like this book. The Pack Magic section alone, ironically, it's probably when we do book rankings again, we'll probably be at the top of the tier list in the Fluffy Pillow, just based on the fucking vestige entries alone.
Like, yeah, I mean, even if you don't care about playing a pact binder, it's still a fun section to read through.
Yeah. It's one of those sections that transcends being an RPG book and is just like, oh, this is actually kind of fucking neat and amusing.
Yeah, it's in a similar that section of this book is in a similar vein to like Draconomicon, where even if you're not playing D&D at all, if you like dragons, you're going to enjoy this book.
Yeah. Yeah, like vestiges are just a fun concept.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah. It is reasonably late, so I think that will be all we have for this week. I pretty much expected that. This book is big. And as I said, it's 3 mini books. And by mini books,
3
I mean
micro books.
Yeah.
Each with their entire system we need to go over, so yeah.
Yeah. And by micro, I think Pack Magic, granted Pack Magic is the largest section, is I think 100 pages by itself. Over 100 pages by itself. Now granted, let's see, it's 100 pages. The whole book is like nearly 300. Yeah, it's a 285. Yeah, 285 for the whole book. Again, the Pack Magic section is the biggest section because of all the vestiges. But yeah. Yeah, it's 3 mini books by the standards of 3.5s. There are expansions for other games that are just as large as one of the sections of this book.
Yeah.
But yeah. As said, it's pretty late and this was a long one, so that will be all we have for you this week. Join us on Monday, I believe. We will not be playing Super Robot Wars 30 on Sunday because Comic-Con.
Yep.
But join us on Monday for more Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. And join us back here on Thursday for when we go into Complete Psionics.
Huh.
Yes, the revenge and return of psionics, or something.
Dun, dun.
Yep. But till then, everyone, I'm Vincent.
I've been the Krampus.
I've been Shiv.
I've been Hunter Grain.
And I'm Vincent. And remember, everyone, just a second, I have to make a bunch of skill checks so I can actually speak this freaking utterance that lets me have hindsight of 2020. Wait, no.
Wow,
Yes,
wow,
no.
yeah,
Yes,
wow, 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 wow.
Okay, got it.